Chapter 22:37. Is it very powerful? Night Sorrow looked at the heavenly concubine. It's a very simple question. The world tree is the spirit of the heavenly way. It is very mysterious and can use the power of the heavenly way and origin energy. If it attacks us, you know the result. The heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow strangely. She felt that Night Sorrow knew very little about common sense. In her eyes, he was an idiot. For example, during this trip, she had explained a lot of things. Night Sorrow didn't know anything. It's not shameful to ask. There are some things that I really don't know, and no one told me, Night Sorrow said with a smile. In this aspect, he admitted that he wasn't good enough. Looking at Night Sorrow and thinking about Night Sorrow's path of growth, the heavenly concubine understood. Night Sorrow had a few masters, but Yu Yangyu and the Qing Emperor weren't at a high enough level. They didn't know much about some things, so they couldn't teach Night Sorrow anything. As for Yan Wushuang, he was naturally very experienced. He wasn't much worse than the heavenly concubine. They both had their own strengths, but he had only met Night Sorrow once. He had only left behind his inheritance. Other than that, he didn't have any other guidance for Night Sorrow. The most important thing was that Night Sorrow was too young. Compared to cultivators of the same level, his experience was very low. However, compared to cultivators of the same age, he couldn't be compared at all. Apart from the members of the God-slaying team from the 9 regions world, cultivators who were 1,000 years old, even if they were geniuses, were at most saint kings or monarchs. Even heavenly monarchs were extremely rare. Yi Shang, on the other hand, was a mid-level imperial tribulation cultivator. They could not be compared. If there's anything you don't understand, just ask me. We're friends, so there's no need to be so polite. Don't throw your face elsewhere, the heavenly concubine said with a smile after thinking about Night Sorrow's past. Okay, I'll ask you if there's anything I don't understand. You really don't know much. I haven't found anything you don't know yet. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew this was heavenly concubine's kindness. Old woman, this is the accumulation of time. 9 epochs, 900 billion years, do you know what kind of concept that is? The heavenly concubine said. That's not right. In the world of cultivators, we only talk about achievements. Age is just a standard to measure one's achievements. Night Sorrow even married a woman many times older than him. Wu Lingfei said with a smile. That's right. Age isn't important among high-level cultivators. I didn't choose this when I married her, mainly because we were in love. Of course, there are also many other reasons. There are also times when I was forced to do something beyond my ability, Night Sorrow said. The heavenly concubine and Wuling concubine both laughed. Night Sorrow was a legend in the 9 regions world. The story of him being forced to marry by Datura was also a beautiful story. This was because Night Sorrow's family was very harmonious and loving. This was something everyone knew. Back then, my life goal really wasn't that big. I just wanted to do some things well. Back then, when I joined the Medicine Valley, I wanted to get the protection of the Medicine Valley for Zhuyuan village and let the villagers stay away from the beasts. After I met Chuyu, I wanted to marry and have children in the future and give her a peaceful and happy life. Later on, the world forced me to move forward, giving me a higher goal. Night Sorrow said with a bit of emotion. The heavenly concubine and Wuling concubine nodded. Wuling concubine understood Night Sorrow very well. When they first met on East Snow Mountain, Wuling concubine knew Night Sorrow's attitude towards life. As they chatted, Night Sorrow and the other two quickly moved forward. This world already has order. I hope it won't be destroyed in the future. When they reached the world barrier, they were about to leave. Night Sorrow turned around and looked at the world behind him. Kindness, he always had kindness in his heart. This is a subsidiary world of the world tree. It's the world tree that decides their fate, the heavenly concubine said. Night Sorrow nodded and left this Sumeru world. He brought the 2 women into the next Sumeru world. After half a month, Night Sorrow and the other two successfully passed through the second Sumuru world. There was only one world line left in front of them. If your cultivation is not enough, your realm is not enough. If you cultivate to the extreme, tearing open a spatial world is just a matter of moments. You should know that someone once cultivated the 100 Worlds defense body. That's proof, the heavenly concubine said. Of course. If you can set up 100 spatial worlds for defense, tearing open a spatial world is too easy. We are now at the last step. After passing through this Sumuru world, we will reach the world tree's true body. Night Sorrow was looking forward to it. More than a year of hard work would soon see the results. In the hazy sky, the world tree's crown was expanding. However, it was hard to tell if it was real or fake. It was also unrealistic to fly close because of the spatial line's defense. The spatial line that Night Sorrow and the other two passed through was very long and extended in a circle. This was also the reason why Night Sorrow and the other two couldn't go around it and had to pass through it. Night Sorrow, I am very curious. You clearly know that I know about the 1,000 Worlds defense body. You also have the conditions to cultivate it. Why didn't you ask? Because of your respect for me, you didn't have any thoughts. The heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow. Yes. You fought for the 9 regions world. To put it bluntly, whether it was because of the oath or because you are from the 9 regions world, you should do it. However, there are some things that you are free to do. If I ask, it will only make you embarrassed and cause a rift between us. It is not worth it. I also don't want you to feel sorry for anyone. I don't want you to feel sorry for the demon-winged race. This way, no matter when, we can face each other openly and stand proudly in the world. Isn't that good? Night Sorrow looked at the heavenly concubine and said. I understand. Mo Tianji nodded. She was very touched. She understood Night Sorrow's resolve. Therefore, she felt that it was even more rare. Absolute arts are all created. Give me some time and let me raise my cultivation. It is not impossible for me to create my own absolute art. Night Sorrow said with a smile. As they chatted, the three entered the last Sumuru world. After entering the last Sumuru world, Night Sorrow realized that this Sumuru world had truly matured. It had perfect laws and the will of heaven and earth. There was even the manifestation of the heavenly Tao. Of course, it was a little weak. The heavenly concubine realized that the repulsive force against her was very low. She could fight without suppressing her cultivation. Night Sorrow, you have worked hard for more than a year. You have been fighting all the time. This time, you can rest. I will scout ahead. After realizing that she could fight without restriction, the heavenly concubine said. W most unspecified currency new H chapter asterisk section, above %V, the repulsive force against the world tree has not changed. I don't have an advantage over you guys. It seems that my spirituality is not enough. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 2238. Then she doesn't dislike me. Night Sorrow said with a smile. You can put it that way. Who would dislike the virtuous monarch? She released the energy to repel you out of a defensive instinct. It doesn't mean that she has a subjective opinion of you. The heavenly Tao itself is friendly to virtuous cultivators. The heavenly concubine said. After hearing the heavenly concubine's explanation, Night Sorrow felt a bit more at ease. This way, he might be able to get close to the world tree. He had always been worried that the world tree wouldn't give him the chance to do so. You can't see your own advantages and don't understand how rare it is to become a virtuous monarch. Even if concubine Ling and I can't, you still have a chance. The world tree is not wary of you. The heavenly concubine shook her head. She knew that Night Sorrow still didn't understand how precious the title of virtuous monarch was. The three of them chatted and laughed as they moved forward. There were cultivators and demonic beasts that blocked their way. The heavenly concubine dealt with them without needing Night Sorrow to do anything. It feels good to be able to fight freely. The past few days were too oppressive. Those poisonous jackals and flame lizards dared to bully me and fight me because I couldn't fight with my full strength. If it was the current situation, they wouldn't dare to even if you beat them to death. The heavenly concubine said. She was in a good mood now. She had been too sullen before and felt like a tiger that had fallen from the sky. Have you dealt with your previous injuries? Night Sorrow asked. After seeing you, I suffered some blows. However, they were all to the body and didn't affect my soul. After my soul returned to my main body, some problems were solved. I'm now in my peak condition. It's just that some cultivation time was delayed. King Ye Wu, Mo Zhantian, and a few others have cultivated to the soul unity realm. I haven't reached that level yet. The heavenly concubine explained to Night Sorrow. After hearing the heavenly concubine's answer, Night Sorrow was relieved. Cultivators weren't afraid of being injured. As long as their Tao foundation wasn't damaged, they would be fine. What was the Tao foundation? It was the foundation of a cultivator. The foundation of a cultivator was the body and soul. Burning one's essence, blood and soul power was an unrecoverable injury. Last time, when Mo Zhantian burned his blood essence and faith power to escape, he had suffered an irrecoverable injury, which was the damage to his Tao foundation. King Ye Wu was also injured, but to a lesser extent. With the heavenly Tao flower that Night Sorrow gave him, he had already recovered and his Tao foundation was unharmed. Heavenly concubine then told Night Sorrow that it was actually a blessing in disguise. Her body was placed in the heaven-sealing Great Hall by Night Sorrow and was baptized by the 9 regions world's origin power. Her Tao became deeper and her soul mark was erased. It was just that it took some effort to fuse her soul and body. You too, be careful. There is really an expert approaching. Is this the second cultivator of the tribulation of the 9 emperors that is going to die in our hands? The heavenly concubine held her sword in front of her with her left hand. She sensed that an expert was coming. It was a tribulation of the 9 emperors cultivator at the same level as her. After the heavenly concubine's warning, a group of people appeared. The leader was an old man in a blue robe. Foreign cultivators. That means you have a cultivation inheritance. Swear to the heavenly Tao that you will leave behind all your cultivation inheritance and then scram. Otherwise, you will die. Shameless boasting. Seems like you are their leader. The heavenly concubine was so angry that she laughed. What was an inheritance? It was a civilization and an orthodoxy. Protecting the orthodoxy and passing down the orthodoxy was something that every cultivator should do. The other party came and directly asked for an inheritance. It was obvious that they didn't take the 3 of them seriously. I am the heavenly river king. You said that I am shameless boasting. Are you not going to hand it over? If you don't hand it over, you will die. The blue-robed old man's eyes shone with an ominous glint. I don't know how to curse you. Calling you trash is like praising you. Since you are a frog in a well, then you will pay the price for your short-sightedness. The heavenly concubine couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with this heavenly river king and attacked. The heavenly concubine's reserved aura completely erupted. The heavenly river king's expression changed. The heavenly concubine's aura was too strong. It was much stronger than his. If the heavenly concubine had shown this aura and aura from the beginning, the heavenly river king would have considered whether to fight this battle or not. However, he had to fight now. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei didn't say anything. They directly attacked the heavenly river king's subordinates. At this time, they could only fight. Only by winning could they continue moving forward. Wu Lingfei had gone through 8 emperors' tribulations, but she had the cultivation and realm of 9 emperors' tribulations. In addition to her own talent, she had the combat strength of an emperor's tribulation. She used the extreme frost world to freeze everything around her. Even if the heavenly river king's subordinates could withstand it, they would have to consume a lot of energy. At this time, Night Sorrow's original body and doppelganger were slaughtering violently. It was as if they were harvesting lives. Yi Shang had kindness in his heart, but when it came to battle, it was also his character to kill decisively. It was a one-sided massacre. Among the cultivators that the Heavenly River King brought, only one had a higher cultivation than Night Sorrow. He was at the tribulation of 6 emperors. His cultivation was higher than Night Sorrow's, but from the start of the battle, he was suppressed by Night Sorrow's original body. Night Sorrow didn't even need the help of his doppelganger. The Heavenly River King knew that he had been blind. He had kicked an iron plate. The heavenly concubine was too strong. He could only passively defend. He hated the heavenly concubine. If she had shown her strength earlier, he might not have gotten close. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. This situation wasn't a mistake in the heavenly concubine's strategy. It caused her to not be able to scare off her enemies and opponents. It was enough to show a portion of her strength to scare off her opponents. If she showed her full strength, then when others really came, she would be in a passive position. The heavenly concubine controlled the balance between showing and hiding her strength very well. Like now, even if she didn't scare off the Heavenly River King, she could still control the situation. There were more than 20 cultivators that the Heavenly River King brought. After a while, other than the one who ran away and the cultivator who was bitterly holding on, the rest were all killed by Night Sorrow and Wuling Fei. Normally, in this situation, the Heavenly River King had many subordinates. If they split up and ran, it wouldn't be too difficult to escape. However, Wuling Fei's extreme cold limited their speed. The one who ran away had a good cultivation and was resistant to the extreme cold because he was of the ice attribute. That was why he ran away. In the end, there were only 2 battlefields left. The Heavenly Concubine and the Heavenly River King, and Night Sorrow and the cultivator from the Heavenly River King's tribulation. The cultivator from the Heavenly River King's tribulation was bitterly holding on. At this time, he was already heavily injured. Night Sorrow could directly suppress the cultivator from the Heavenly River King's tribulation, let alone the cultivator from the Heavenly River King's tribulation. There was a difference of 1 level between the Heavenly River King's tribulation and the Heavenly River King's tribulation, but this difference of 1 level was the watershed in the evolution of the soul level. The difference was huge. In the time it took to brew a cup of tea, Night Sorrow eliminated his opponent. Then, he charged towards the Heavenly River King. When encountering an opponent with the cultivation of the Heavenly River King's tribulation, cultivators under the Heavenly River King's tribulation would avoid them like the plague. However, Night Sorrow wasn't afraid. It wasn't like he hadn't experienced such a battle before. Control. Chapter 2239. The Heavenly River King's situation wasn't good to begin with. He was being suppressed by the Heavenly Concubine. The addition of Night Sorrow made his situation even worse. After being restricted, his body was constantly attacked. The Heavenly River King was constantly hit by the Heavenly Concubine's attacks. After the sword chi entered his body, it began to destroy his body. The accumulation of advantages and disadvantages began to stack. You two damn adulterous couple. After the Heavenly River King was injured, he cursed without thinking. He hated the Heavenly Concubine for hiding her cultivation. He also hated Night Sorrow for attacking without fear of death. Night Sorrow's desperate attacks disrupted the Heavenly River King's rhythm. His attack rhythm, defense rhythm, and even movement rhythm were all disrupted. This made the Heavenly Concubine's attacks even smoother. Why do you say that? You're the one who came to kill us. You're the one who shamelessly said that you wanted the inheritance. Now, you're the one who isn't strong enough. Who can you blame? The Heavenly Concubine replied. She never thought that she would be called adulterous one day. Night Sorrow didn't reply. He didn't want to argue. In the end, he still needed to use the results of the battle to solve the problem. Using strength to speak was the most powerful. After fighting for an hour, the Heavenly River King was killed by the Heavenly Concubine and Night Sorrow. In the past, the 9 Emperors' tribulation cultivators wouldn't die unless they faced the threat of the God-destroying tribulation. Even if they encountered other 9 Emperors' tribulation cultivators who were stronger, they could still retreat. If the difference was too big, they might have to burn their blood essence and soul power to retreat. In the worst case, their soul would leave their body. But now, they've died. The heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said, Yi Shang's appearance cut off the path of retreat for the cultivators of the tribulation of 9 emperors who were at a disadvantage. The suppression of the merit domain and the burning of the fire of merit cut off the cultivators of the tribulation of 9 emperors. You can kill him, but you let him run? You're despicable and your mouth is despicable. Damn it. Night Sorrow said. It doesn't matter. We can't lower ourselves to the level of a dead person. Unfortunately, they don't have many treasures. Heavenly Concubine broke into Heavenly River King's storage ring and destroyed his soul imprint. After checking it, she handed it over to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow waved his hand and refused. You keep it. Let's go somewhere else to have a cup of tea and rest. This area should be safe. Night Sorrow did not take the Heavenly River King's storage ring, and the Heavenly Concubine did not force him. She was the same as Night Sorrow, she did not place much importance on formalities. You're right. It should be stable. Sky River King has the tribulation of the 9 emperors. He's probably the overlord of Sumeru world. At the very least, he's invincible in this area. After killing him, there shouldn't be any strong opponents for a while. Heavenly Concubine and Night Sorrow had the same opinion. Moving to a different location, he took out a tea table and made a cup of tea for Night Sorrow. Drink up. I'll go get some prey. The Heavenly Concubine flashed and left. Prey appeared in the range of her soul power. Night Sorrow also moved. He found a few withered branches of an ancient tree nearby and started a fire. Eating barbecued meat, Night Sorrow was a bit emotional. In the past, when I went out to train, I would often eat barbecued meat and drink wine after a battle. These are all beautiful memories. Actually, happiness and unhappiness in life has nothing to do with cultivation. It's mainly about attitude. Heavenly Concubine poured a cup of wine for Night Sorrow and said, Aunt Concubine, will you live in the Ice Phoenix race or return to the 9 regions world? Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and asked. Naturally, I'll return to the 9 regions world. East Snow Mountain is my home. Help me look after it and don't let other cultivators occupy it. Wu Lingfei smiled and said. Okay, I'll take care of it. Night Sorrow nodded. The lake near Sky City is not bad. Get me a place near the lake. When there's no war in the 9 regions world, I'll go there to rest. I can also watch over your home. Heavenly Concubine smiled and said. Y nu VM nu r square root max 5k fast, up WB, a Night Sorrow nodded at Heavenly Concubine. He would take care of these matters. Heavenly Concubine didn't need to stay in 9 Regions City all the time. 9 Regions City was guarded by his clones. After making his decision, Night Sorrow's clones went to the eastern ice plains of the eastern Xian region and flew toward East Snow Mountain. Night Sorrow didn't use his speed. He flew slowly. Revisiting this place, he was deeply moved. Back then, he had only been a rank 2 or rank 3 cultivator. Now, he was already a top cultivator. A wave of his hand had the power to destroy the world. The 9 regions world was developing well. There were already groups of cultivators in the Ice Plains Sea, or groups of people seeking opportunities. After Night Sorrow flew past, he naturally released his aura, causing their movements to slow down. Space seemed to have stopped. It's a great expert. A man said to his companions. Brother, that's the Realm Lord. It's a pity that the Realm Lord hasn't returned to the Medicine Valley for a long time. The Medicine Valley has disappointed him. A disciple of the Medicine Valley said as he looked in the direction Night Sorrow disappeared. The Medicine Valley did have some problems in the past few years. Look at how the Night Moon Dynasty, which is also related to the Realm Lord, has developed. The Yi family has always been in the pugilistic world, but there are no traces of them. Why? Because they don't use the Realm Lord as their backing. A woman in the group said. Yeah. They don't even wear silk brocades. They're frugal and virtuous. This is the Yi family's upbringing and style. Another member said. Let's go. Let's follow the traces left by the Realm Lord. Who knows, we might see him. The Realm Lord wouldn't appear in the eastern ice plains for no reason. East Snow Mountain. The Realm Lord might have gone to East Snow Mountain. That's where the Golden Phoenix used to cultivate. By the time the training team arrived at East Snow Mountain, it was already enveloped by a mountain defense array. At the foot of East Snow Mountain stood a tall stone tablet. East Snow Mountain, Golden Phoenix Training Ground, Night Sorrow. The members of the group understood why Night Sorrow was here. He was here to clear East Snow Mountain's name. In the future, this place would be the training ground of the Eastern Xian Domain Lord, Wu Lingfei. Even if no one was here, other cultivators wouldn't be able to enter or occupy it. World of Trees. On the way, Night Sorrow took out an array diagram and handed it to Wu Lingfei. Auntie Fei, I've dealt with East Snow Mountain. This is the diagram of the protective array. You've dealt with it so quickly. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. My 9 Realms doppelganger accompanied eldest senior brother for a drink. When I had nothing to do, I went to East Snow Mountain and set up a protective array to prevent other cultivators from occupying it. Even if it's only for a few days, Auntie Fei won't be happy. Night Sorrow smiled. Wu Lingfei smiled and nodded. She naturally accepted Night Sorrow's good intentions. We're halfway through the last Sumeru world. We'll be able to see the true body of the world tree soon. Night Sorrow looked ahead. Chapter 2240. Night Sorrow and the other two continued forward. The last Sumeru world was very large. It was even larger than the worlds in the World Zone group. The only difference was that it did not have a real world origin. It was supported by the origin power of the world tree. This was also the characteristic of all the spatial worlds in the periphery of the world tree. They did not have a world origin. If there was a real world origin, cultivators above the king level would not be able to enter. There were no battles as they advanced. This was because the heavenly concubine's strength made some cultivators avoid her, let alone fight her. When they were not far from the spatial barrier of the Sumeru world, another battle broke out. It was a crazy rhino-type beast cultivator. The beast cultivator was at the Tribulation 7 Emperor's realm. His combat power was not enough. Naturally, he was just giving away resources and materials. After killing this beast cultivator, Night Sorrow and the other two arrived at the spatial barrier of the Sumeru world. However, they did not leave immediately. Instead, they rested for a few days to dissipate the murderous aura on their bodies. After all, they were about to reach the real area where the world tree was. After resting, Night Sorrow stood up and tidied his robe. We can enter the world of trees in this state. As for the murderous aura, it's another matter. As Night Sorrow tore open the spatial barrier, the three of them entered the core world where the world tree was. It was also the last world of the Thousand Realms Thousand Defense. After entering, Night Sorrow and the other two took a deep breath. The spirit chi in this world was too dense. It was not weaker than the space where the flame lizard was, which was also where the soul-nurturing grass was. It was even stronger. The heavenly concubine said, "We have to be careful. In a world like this, even a pig can cultivate." Night Sorrow nodded. Then, he looked up. Deep in the sky, there was a dense crown of the world tree. The crown extended in all directions and was wrapped in energy. However, the crown was real. There was no strong rejection. Night Sorrow knew that they had passed the first stage. After dealing with all the obstacles, they could get close to the main trunk of the world tree. That was where the tree spirit was. As for whether the problem could be solved or not, it all depended on the attitude of the tree spirit. Heavenly concubine, the world tree should know that we're here. Why doesn't the tree spirit appear directly? Wu Lingfei asked. I don't know the details. The tree crown is only her body. The area with thoughts and intelligence is the main trunk. See us? There are many cultivators in the world of trees. Why would she care who we are? If you don't threaten her, she won't bother, said the heavenly concubine. Hearing heavenly concubine's words, Night Sorrow laughed self-deprecatingly. That's right. She doesn't care who we are. It's not like there aren't any cultivators from the tribulation of 9 emperors in her affiliated worlds. We're nothing special in her eyes. After lamenting for a while, the 3 of them began to move forward toward the area where the world tree was. In reality, this world wasn't big. However, because it was shrouded in dense origin energy, the range of soul power detection was extremely small. Plus, they couldn't be rash. Therefore, Night Sorrow and the other 2 advanced very slowly. Otherwise, it wouldn't take them long to fly over. Compared to the last Sumeru world, the world Night Sorrow and the other 2 were in had dense spirit energy, but it was much quieter. Night Sorrow and the other 2 were very careful. The next step was the most crucial one. After working hard for a year, it wouldn't be worth it to make a mistake at the last moment. Unlike what Night Sorrow and the other 2 expected, they advanced slowly for 1,000 miles. There were no battles and no other cultivators. Cultivators who aren't especially strong can't survive here. The formless pressure is too strong, said the heavenly concubine. But I feel that there's also a sense of vicissitudes and desolation. Feel it carefully and see if you feel the same as me. Night Sorrow closed his eyes and sensed. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the heavenly concubine and willing concubine began to carefully sense it. They knew that if they hadn't discovered it, Night Sorrow wouldn't have said that. After sensing for a while, the heavenly concubine opened her eyes and willing concubine stopped after a while. How do you feel? Night Sorrow asked the 2 women. I have to admire you. You can even sense such a faint aura. How did you discover it? The heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow and asked because the vicissitudes and desolation aura was very faint. I have the 9 domain world origin beads in my body, so I'm more familiar and sensitive to the aura of origin energy. The origin energy in this world tree is very dense, but in reality, it's still a bit weaker than the 9 domain world origin beads. When I discovered that something was wrong, I carefully sensed it and discovered the problem. Why do you think this happened? Night Sorrow asked. The world tree is still in its infancy. How can it have such an ancient aura? This shouldn't be. The heavenly concubine said with confusion. It seems that there's something we don't know about. Let's slowly walk and see. Night Sorrow said. The 3 of them continued forward, but in their hearts, they knew that the situation in the world tree was different from what they had expected. After advancing for a while, the heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said, I feel a bit tired. Can we rest a bit before continuing? It's not a physical exhaustion, it's a mental exhaustion. Me too. This is because of the high tension. Night Sorrow nodded. He also felt that he needed to relax. The 3 of them set up camp. Night Sorrow took out the barbecued meat he had made in the Sumeru world. After heating it up, he took out 2 jars of wine and said, relax a bit before we continue. The heavenly concubine and Wu Ling concubine nodded. They were women. Under such circumstances, they naturally relied on Night Sorrow. This was the difference between men and women. Actually, there's nothing to be nervous about. If there's anyone blocking the way, we'll just kill them. We must see the tree spirit of the world tree. After that, we'll talk about other things. Night Sorrow looked at the heavenly concubine and Wu Ling concubine. The heavenly concubine smiled and said, it's tiring to think too much. Actually, the essence of the matter is the same as what you said. We must see the tree spirit of the world tree. Before that, no matter who blocks the way, we'll kill them all. Yes, we can even kill the cultivators of the tribulation of the 9 emperors. What are we afraid of? Could it be a group of cultivators of the tribulation of the 9 emperors? Obviously not. At most, they'll be a bit stronger. Night Sorrow said. Although he said that, he knew that the evil spirit and guardian of the world tree would definitely be very strong. Yes, if there's a battle, we'll fight. We shouldn't be the ones being afraid. It's really not a big deal. The heavenly concubine smiled and said. After resting for a while and adjusting his mentality, Night Sorrow continued forward with the heavenly concubine and Wu Ling concubine. Chapter 22:41. Night Sorrow, you can't go through your tribulation here. Why don't we leave first and go to the middle of the space line or the last Sumeru world? You can go through your tribulation there. Heavenly concubine said after seeing Night Sorrow reach a bottleneck. Let's not go through the tribulation for now. The lightning tribulation will only affect my growth. It won't affect my fighting strength much. Night Sorrow shook his head. He didn't want to go through the tribulation. It's good to settle down. Not going through the tribulation won't affect your fighting strength in the short term. Heavenly concubine said. Letting out a breath, Night Sorrow pushed the tribulation to the back of his mind and continued forward. After advancing for another 500 kilometers, a clump of black fog enveloped by essence power appeared. The black fog howled as it charged towards Yishan's team. Night Sorrow, be careful. It's a divine soul unity realm evil cultivator. If I'm not wrong, he's the companion of the world tree. Heavenly concubine's body flashed and appeared in front of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's soul power vibrated and took Wu Lingfei into the clear sky pagoda. He couldn't do this in the previous Sumeru space because the repulsive force would also repel the spatial treasure. Now that he was in the main world where the world tree was, there was no repulsive force. Therefore, Night Sorrow could take Wu Lingfei into the spatial world. Night Sorrow had to be careful. A divine soul unity realm cultivator was too terrifying. A powerful energy shockwave from a powerful attack could cause fatal damage to Wu Lingfei. Night Sorrow put Wu Lingfei away. The rolling black cloud arrived in front of him and heavenly concubine. It was a man wrapped in black evil energy. He was very strong. Night Sorrow felt a lot of pressure from this man's aura. Intuitively, Night Sorrow felt that this man was stronger than Mo Zhantian. He should be on par with King Yewu and Tran Heng. You dare to come here? You really don't know life from death. After the black-clothed man roared, he swung his blade and attacked the heavenly concubine. As for Yi Shang, who was at the peak of the Four Emperor tribulation, he ignored him and didn't take him seriously. The heavenly concubine unsheathed her sword and fought with the black-clothed man. After the battle began, the heavenly concubine was at a disadvantage. The black-clothed man's attacks were extremely fast. The black energy's penetrative power was extremely strong. The heavenly concubine's protective Dao domain could not block it. Even the sputtering astral sabers could penetrate it. Night Sorrow, hurry up and leave. He's a gifted evil divine beast, the Black Horn Dragon. The heavenly concubine yelled at the Night Sorrow. She knew that she couldn't take down the Black Horn Dragon. She could hold on for now, but she would definitely lose after a while. After all, her cultivation level was lower than the Black Horn Dragon's. Let's fight together. Night Sorrow's body trembled, and his doppelganger appeared. Then, the two of them charged towards the Black Horn Dragon. Night Sorrow was the one who attacked. His original body used the heavenly Samsara halberd to perform the primordial destruction / while his doppelganger used the true reincarnation dragon art. Together, they attacked the Black Horn Dragon. Night Sorrow, hurry up and leave. This is different from before. Seeing that Night Sorrow didn't leave and even attacked, the heavenly concubine was very anxious. No matter how dangerous it is, I, Night Sorrow, don't have the habit of leaving my companions behind. I didn't in the past, and I won't in the future. Night Sorrow turned his head and glanced at the heavenly concubine. Then, he used his power of merit to activate the Human Tao Grand Ceremonies Book of Taoism. He used the Human Emperor's seal to suppress the Black Horn Dragon. At the same time, he also strengthened his body. He was afraid that the rebound force would be too strong and cause his body to collapse. With a boom, Night Sorrow's original body's heavenly samsara halberd hit the black horned dragon's retracted battle saber. Then, he was knocked back. Night Sorrow's original body was knocked back, but his doppelganger came forward. The bloodlust evil-slaying spear carried a black whirlpool of reincarnation energy and stabbed towards the black-horned dragon's chest. Ant. After spitting out 2 words, the black-horned dragon's left fist smashed towards Night Sorrow's doppelganger's chest. He didn't care about Night Sorrow's bloodlust evil-slaying spear attack. Who do you think you are? Descend, weaken. After glaring at the black-horned dragon, Night Sorrow used the deluxe merit monarch's verbal law to weaken the black-horned dragon's attack. Then, he used Hadouken with his left hand and continued to attack with the bloodlust evil-slaying spear in his right hand. The heavenly concubine's long sword moved rhythmically and stabbed towards the black-horned dragon's head. With a muffled sound, Night Sorrow's left fist aura and the black-horned dragon's fist aura collided with each other. There was a boom. After the collision, Night Sorrow's doppelganger's left arm became limp. The flesh inside his skin was completely shattered. Night Sorrow's doppelganger exerted strength in his legs so that his body wouldn't fall back. The bloodlust evil-slaying spear stabbed forward with all its might. It pierced through the black-horned dragon's protective energy and stabbed into its chest. Then, the forbidden reincarnation energy rushed into the black-horned dragon's body. The black-horned dragon's eyes were full of shock. He thought his punch would be able to kill Night Sorrow, but all it did was break Night Sorrow's arm. It didn't kill Night Sorrow, and it didn't even make him fall back. Night Sorrow's real body used space-time realm. In a flash, he appeared in front of the heavenly concubine. The samsara halberd used first destroyed / again to attack the black-horned dragon. Horned dragon real body. The black-horned dragon roared. Black light flowed across its body. After Night Sorrow's doppelganger's bloodlust evil-slaying spear pierced 3 inches, it couldn't go any further. Its left hand punched towards Night Sorrow's real body as it retreated. He didn't care much about Night Sorrow's attack, but he had to take the heavenly concubine's attack seriously. She was a 9 Emperor's disaster cultivator, and her power was higher than his. Destroy soul / Night Sorrow's real body and doppelganger both used destroy soul / Then, his real body used space-time realm again. The black-horned dragon's new punch was much more powerful than the previous one. He had underestimated it before, but now he was going all out. If it hit him, he would be half dead. His real body used space-time realm to retreat. Night Sorrow's doppelganger stomped his feet and rushed forward. He didn't want to give the black-horned dragon a chance to get away from the bloodlust evil-slaying spear. Heavenly concubine, attack! Night Sorrow shouted at the heavenly concubine. His doppelganger followed the black-horned dragon. The bloodlust evil-slaying spear used its body's strength to stab into the black-horned dragon's body. The doppelganger continued to attack. Night Sorrow's real body used space-time realm to dodge the black-horned dragon's punch. Then, the samsara halberd attacked again. This time, it was a projectile. He didn't want to give the black-horned dragon a chance to hit his doppelganger. If it did, his doppelganger would be knocked back, and the situation wouldn't be good. Seeing the samsara halberd flying toward it, the black-horned dragon pulled out its left arm and sent the samsara halberd flying into the void. After the weapon was sent flying, Night Sorrow's real body arrived in front of the black-horned dragon. His left arm pulled the black-horned dragon's left arm under his armpit. Then, his right hand and left hand came together and controlled the black-horned dragon's left arm. Burn! After the real body controlled the black-horned dragon's left arm, Night Sorrow's doppelganger's flames appeared. It was a golden flame. It was the burning of blood essence. The virtuous Tao body's blood essence burned to increase its combat power. As the doppelganger's blood essence burned, Night Sorrow's doppelganger's combat power increased. The bloodlust evil-slaying spear rushed forward and pierced half a foot into the black-horned dragon's body. Then, the true chi in the doppelganger's body rushed into the black-horned dragon's body like waves. The black-horned dragon's face turned green. He had been paying attention to the heavenly concubine's attack. He didn't think about what Night Sorrow could do. Now, the one who hurt him was Night Sorrow. Chapter 22:42. The heavenly concubine was afraid that something would happen to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was going all out in this battle. He didn't care if he was injured or not. He didn't even care if he died. Anyone with a bit of fear in their heart wouldn't do this. Eighth heavenly concubine was going all out in this battle. She had to restrain the Blackhorn Dragon's sword and find an opportunity to heavily injure the Blackhorn Dragon. The Compassion Sword Chi required a high cultivation level and a strong soul power to support it. Therefore, it was very powerful and was the heavenly concubine's ultimate skill. Seeing the heavenly concubine's sword Chi, the Blackhorn Dragon's eyes twitched. He felt threatened. He knew that if he was hit by the sword Chi, not only would his body be injured, his soul wouldn't be able to take it. He didn't have the time or energy to deal with Night Sorrow. He swung his sword at the heavenly concubine's Compassion Sword Chi. Enough. This was the effect Night Sorrow wanted. Night Sorrow hugged the Blackhorn Dragon's arm and flipped his body. He was back to back with the Blackhorn Dragon. He pushed the Blackhorn Dragon's back and slowed him down. At the same time, his right hand formed a fist and smashed towards the Blackhorn Dragon's head. Mad dog. The Blackhorn Dragon shook his head and dodged Night Sorrow's fist. He couldn't understand Night Sorrow's fighting style. The original body controlled the Blackhorn Dragon's body to move. Night Sorrow's avatar poured his power of virtue into the Blood Qilin evil-slaying spear and stabbed forward. The spear made from the Blood Qilin's tailbone shone brightly and the Blood Qilin evil-slaying spear stabbed into the Blackhorn Dragon's body again. Break for me. Night Sorrow's original body roared. His left arm locked the Blackhorn Dragon's left arm and his right elbow smashed towards the Blackhorn Dragon's back. The Blackhorn Dragon couldn't dodge Night Sorrow's attack. The Blackhorn Dragon's back was hit by Night Sorrow's powerful elbow. The moment he stopped moving back, Night Sorrow's avatar's Blood Qilin evil-slaying spear pierced through the Blackhorn Dragon's body. The tip of the spear came out from the side of Night Sorrow. Yishang's true body didn't care about the sharpness of the Blood Qilin vanquishing evil spear. He grabbed the tip of the spear and pulled. Then, he poured the beginning energy into the Blackhorn Dragon's body. Yi Chen's true body controlled the Blood Qilin evil-slaying spear while Yi Chen's avatar flew into the air. His left foot kicked the end of the Blood Qilin evil-slaying spear while his right foot kicked the Blackhorn Dragon's chest. He poured energy into the Blackhorn Dragon's body while his body flipped backward, leaving the Blackhorn Dragon's attack range. Then, he stopped burning his blood essence. Continuing to burn essence blood was a big loss. If he could stop, he would. Yishang's avatar retreated. A few of Heavenly Concubine's Compassion Life Sword energies flew into the Blackhorn Dragon's chest. They followed the trembling Blood Qilin evil punishing spear into the Blackhorn Dragon's body. Ah! Ah! Blackhorn Dragon kept roaring. The situation was very bad for him. His left arm was held by Night Sorrow's arm. He couldn't attack. Night Sorrow was too strong. His body moved to the left. Night Sorrow's body moved to the right. He crashed into Heavenly Concubine's Compassion Sword Chi. He couldn't say anything. Without the spear in hand and without time to find the reincarnation Sky Halberd, Night Sorrow's avatar took out a long sword and attacked Blackhorn Dragon. At the same time, Night Sorrow's right hand kept shaking the Blood Qilin evil-slaying spear. He sent energy into Blackhorn Dragon's body and started destroying it. At this time, Wu Lingfei flashed away from Night Sorrow's clear sky pagoda. She flew far away. She was looking for the reincarnation Sky Halberd for Night Sorrow. You call me an ant? You're nothing. Today, I'm going to kill you. Night Sorrow went crazy. He used his body's strength to control Blackhorn Dragon's left arm. His right arm grabbed the Blood Qilin evil-slaying spear and continuously attacked Blackhorn Dragon. Heavenly Concubine's long sword quickly swung. The sky full of compassion sword chi kept exploding into Black Horn Dragon's body. Every compassion sword chi that hit Black Horn Dragon's body would emit a white mist. This was a phenomenon caused by destroying Black Horn Dragon's body. While attacking Black Horn Dragon's body, the compassion sword chi kept attacking Black Horn Dragon's spirit sea. Black Horn Dragon faced the double damage from Night Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine. In addition, the human Emperor's seal was constantly suppressing Black Horn Dragon's power. "You damn ant!" Black Horn Dragon kept cursing. "From now on, whoever calls me an ant, I will kill them." Night Sorrow was very angry. He hated it when people looked down on him. The battle continued, but the scales of victory were tilting towards Night Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine. After an hour, Black Horn Dragon was only struggling. "Night Sorrow, catch!" Wu Lingfei retrieved the Samsara halberd and threw it at Night Sorrow. Elsewhere, if the Samsara halberd was knocked away, Wu Lingfei would be able to retrieve it in an instant. However, it was very difficult in the world of trees. She searched for it and wasted a lot of time. Even an hour was the result of her rushing. Night Sorrow's original body was controlling Black Horn Dragon's body. He could only send his doppelganger to catch the weapon. With the Samsara halberd in hand, Night Sorrow's doppelganger's attacks became smoother. However, his doppelganger's injuries were more severe. His left arm still had flesh and blood essence, but his tendons and bones were all shattered. Burning his essence blood was also very harmful to him. However, Night Sorrow wasn't afraid of this. He just wanted to kill Black Horn Dragon. As for his doppelganger, as long as his soul wasn't destroyed, it wouldn't hurt his foundation. When his soul was complete, even if his doppelganger was destroyed, he could still cultivate a new one with a complete soul. However, this situation didn't apply to the original body. Even soul-uniting realm cultivators couldn't do it. If the original body's blood essence was damaged, then the Tao foundation would be damaged. As time went on, Night Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine's attacks became more and more violent. Black Horn Dragon gradually couldn't take it anymore. Kacha! Night Sorrow's original body exerted force and broke Black Horn Dragon's left arm. Then, he turned his body and hooked his left arm around Black Horn Dragon's neck. His right knee smashed into Black Horn Dragon's waist. Then, his right hand punched the back of Black Horn Dragon's head. "Damn it!" The Black Horn Dragon cursed. He had been in a passive position ever since Yi Shang had taken control of his body. Now, Yi Shang's punch didn't shatter his head, but it still made him see stars. "You're the one who deserves to die." Night Sorrow punched again. While Black Horn Dragon was seeing stars, Heavenly Concubine's long sword pierced straight into Black Horn Dragon's spirit sea. Black Horn Dragon's body was destroyed. Black Horn Dragon's soul could only leave his body. "You can't run. I said, whoever calls me an ant, I'll kill them." Night Sorrow roared. He waved his arm and the fire of virtue appeared on the human emperor's seal. The fire of virtue exploded in all directions. Then, it shrunk and wrapped around Black Horn Dragon's soul. At the same time, the human emperor's seal shone brightly and hovered above Black Horn Dragon's soul to suppress it. Heavenly Concubine's body trembled. She felt that the crazy Night Sorrow was really crazy. He even dared to fight a soul-uniting realm cultivator of the Tribulation of 9 Emperors. Chapter 2243. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the Black Horn Dragon let out an unwilling roar as its soul was shattered. Night Sorrow let out a sigh of relief. His body swayed a bit. Not to mention his injuries, his main body and avatar had both used up all their energy and were extremely exhausted. Wu Lingfei flashed to Night Sorrow's side and supported Night Sorrow's body. "Let's go into the Clear Sky Pagoda." Releasing the Clear Sky Pagoda, Night Sorrow's soul shook. He wrapped Wu Lingfei and the Heavenly Concubine and entered the Clear Sky Pagoda's time acceleration level. Then, Night Sorrow and the Heavenly Concubine began to meditate. Night Sorrow's original body meditated to recover while his clone healed. The recovery time was faster. After 2 days, Night Sorrow's original body and the heavenly concubine were back to their peak condition. However, Night Sorrow's clone was still pale. Burning his virtue Tao body was very harmful to him. Healing like this couldn't solve the problem. /O, Night Sorrow, don't do this in the future. I'm scared. The heavenly concubine said to Night Sorrow, who was sitting by the tea table. I have no choice. If I retreat, this mission will fail. I can't abandon my companions. That will leave a shadow in my heart. If my heart is covered in dust and I can't face myself, how can I improve? Some things must be done. Night Sorrow shook his head at the heavenly concubine. Night Sorrow insisted on doing something and not doing it. But your clone is too damaged, Wu Lingfei said. She was heartbroken. It's okay. If I can't recover, I'll give up. Night Sorrow thought about it and said. How can you think like that? Isn't the price too high? The heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow with surprise. The world tree is too important to the celestial realm and the 9 zones world. Your safety is also very important to me. It's best if I can keep my battle clone. If I can't, then I'll use my full power. If it's destroyed, then I'll waste some time to rebuild it. Night Sorrow sighed. Don't you have the heavenly Tao flower? Wu Lingfei asked Night Sorrow. They're 2 different things. My clone can be cultivated again, but the heavenly Tao flower can't be regenerated. Once it's used up, it's gone. Without the heavenly Tao flower, we won't be able to make up for anything that happens to our true bodies. Night Sorrow shook his head. Heavenly concubine and dancing spirit concubine looked at each other. They didn't expect Night Sorrow to have such thoughts. Don't give up. The black dragon should be the companion of the world tree. The soul-uniting realm is the highest realm below the divine emperor realm before the God-destroying tribulation. There shouldn't be any more opponents like that. At most, there will be the protector of the world tree. We can deal with that. We'll talk about your clone when we get back, said the heavenly concubine. It's too late. My doppelganger has already lost 20% of its vitality. If I don't use the heavenly Tao flower, it probably won't recover. Don't worry. Creating another doppelganger will just waste some materials and time. It's nothing compared to this, Night Sorrow said. No. You don't understand. There's a difference between the original doppelganger and the doppelganger that was cultivated later. If you cultivate another doppelganger, you might lose some of your abilities. Take the virtuous Tao body for example. Your current doppelganger grew together with your true body. The virtuous Tao aura is also condensed bit by bit. It's a gift from the heavenly Tao. If you cultivate again, it might not exist anymore. Also, there will be some accumulation after the battle. The new doppelganger won't exist. Don't give up. We'll think of something when we get back. Heavenly concubine was worried that Night Sorrow would give up on his doppelganger. So that's how it is. Night Sorrow sighed helplessly. Even so, he didn't regret it. In that situation, he had to fight. If he didn't fight, he would be in danger. He ran away with dancing spirit concubine. What about heavenly concubine? This mission had also failed. Thank you for not abandoning me. Heavenly concubine nodded at Night Sorrow. She was very touched. She also understood why so many people gathered around Night Sorrow. It was because of his sincerity. He didn't abandon his friends and companions. Even if he died, it gave people an indescribable sense of security. No need to be so polite. We came out together. If I'm alive, then you're all alive. Night Sorrow smiled and took a cup of tea from dancing spirit concubine. As long as I'm alive, you'll all be alive. That's a good way to put it. Oh right, who taught you how to fight? It's like a madman created it. Heavenly concubine thought of Night Sorrow's death battle with the black dragon and was speechless. She was afraid of encountering such an opponent, let alone others. No one taught me. I just felt that it was more suitable. In a situation where I didn't have an advantage in any aspect, I could only use my strongest point to fight against him. Compared to the black-horned dragon, I only had a strong body and strength, so I felt that close combat was more suitable. Yi Shan was a bit conflicted after being called a madman. He hadn't thought too much about it at the time. I'm not scolding you, haha. I've never seen such a battle. You're the bane of the tribulation of 9 emperors. Without you, Scorpion Kuang wouldn't have died. Without your help, not to mention killing the black dragon, I would have been in a bad situation. If it went well, I would have been able to retreat safely. If it didn't, I would have had to burn my essence, blood and soul. The black dragon was too strong. Heavenly Concubine shook her head. This was the most intense battle she had ever fought. When she fought with Yan Wushuang, both of them were around the tribulation of 7 emperors. In the real world, it took a month for Night Sorrow's clone to recover from its injuries. However, the Heavenly Desolate City had thought of a way to deal with it. Night Sorrow's doppelganger was injured in the battle with the Black Dragon. Wu Lingfei told the Heavenly Desolate City Lord. This was a big deal. The Heavenly Desolate City Lord called a meeting of elders and reported Night Sorrow's situation. The young City Lord is going all out. We can't let the young City Lord be injured. If he continues to cultivate a doppelganger, it'll be different from the original doppelganger, the Golden Dragon King said. Night Sorrow still has 2 petals of the Heavenly Path flower, but he doesn't want to use them. He thinks that good steel should be used on the edge of a blade. He doesn't want to use them on his doppelganger. After all, the Heavenly Path flower is gone after he uses it, Wu Lingfei said. Tran Hung brought her with him when the meeting of elders was called. He's willing to do it for others, but he's unwilling to do it for himself. We can't reach the Renhuang Plain. Qin Qianjie sighed. The Heavenly Path flower is too precious. Our blood Kirin clan still has the blood of merit left by our ancestors. It contains the power of merit and the power of blood. When Night Sorrow comes back, we'll give it to him. If it doesn't work, then he must use the Heavenly Path flower. Some injuries cannot appear on his body. He is still a child, Blood Kirin King Chirue said. Chirue, you mean the blood of auspicious signs? Tran Hung looked at Chirue. Chapter 2244. Then I won't be polite with the Blood Qilin race. Let's prepare first. When Night Sorrow comes back, let's use it. As for the Heavenly Path flower, it's better to save it. Tran Hung said. Yes, the Heavenly Path flower can be exchanged for the life and future of a high-level cultivator. Blood Qilin King nodded. King Yewu was an example. Without the Heavenly Path flower, King Yewu's injuries couldn't be healed. His foundation would be destroyed, and he wouldn't be able to improve anymore. After the meeting, Wu Lingfei's original body told Night Sorrow about the decision of the elders. I'll have to trouble everyone with my matters again. I'm really sorry, said Yi Shan. Night Sorrow, you're wrong. Why are you doing this? It's for the sake of the celestial realm. You're risking your life in the front. They should be doing something behind you. Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said. Yes, the elders of the elders are feeling guilty because they can't come to help you. Wu Lingfei said. Then we'll talk about it when we get back. We'll leave after drinking tea. Night Sorrow didn't say anything else because he had to accept the elders' good intentions. Night Sorrow's injuries had already recovered. However, his doppelganger's injuries couldn't be healed in a short time. If it couldn't be healed, it would be an irrecoverable injury. After leaving the Clear Sky Pagoda, the 3 continued forward. The cultivators in this world were relatively poor and didn't have many resources. The spirit chi here was rich and didn't need any cultivation resources. In addition, there weren't any spirit herbs growing here. The earth's nutrients had already been absorbed by the world tree. There wasn't enough nutrients for spirit herbs to grow. After killing the black dragon, Night Sorrow and the other 2 obtained some of the dragon's materials. However, the crystal core and essence blood were extremely valuable. Night Sorrow's original body led Heavenly Concubine and Wu Lingfei forward. His doppelganger refined the dragon's essence blood in the clear sky pagoda to recover. Although he didn't know how effective it was still beneficial for him. As they advanced, Night Sorrow and the others were very careful because they were very close to the World Tree. They would arrive at the location of the World Tree's main trunk in just a short while. Night Sorrow and the other two advanced at a very slow speed, almost as slow as ordinary low-level cultivators. As they moved forward, the three of them got closer and closer to the World Tree. Heavenly Concubine, Anti-Fey, the more we move forward, the more I feel the bleakness and vicissitudes of life. What about you two? After moving forward for a while, Night Sorrow looked at the two women and asked. Yes, something must have happened. Normally speaking, it shouldn't be like this. Heavenly Concubine nodded. In fact, there were no more obstructions, not even any other life forms. 2 days later, Night Sorrow's group of 3 arrived at the area where the World Tree's main trunk was located. They were finally able to see the true appearance of the World Tree. The trunk of the World Tree was close to 100 miles in diameter, and its height was immeasurable. It reached straight into the sky. What shocked Yi Shang and the others was that there were huge cracks on the tree trunk, and the cracks were filled with black charcoal marks. Traces of lightning tribulation. After taking a look, Night Sorrow confirmed that the huge cracks and charcoal marks were left behind by lightning tribulation. That's right, these are the traces of lightning tribulation. At this moment, a woman's figure appeared on the trunk of the World Tree in front of Night Sorrow's group. Tree Spirit. Although he couldn't see her face clearly, Night Sorrow knew that it was the Tree Spirit. The Tree Spirit's aura surprised Night Sorrow. The bleakness and vicissitudes of life were very strong. Senior, you're not in your infancy stage. Did you fail your tribulation? Night Sorrow asked the question in his heart. Yes, I failed my tribulation. The Tree Spirit nodded slightly at Night Sorrow. Look. V is on the Z version of the chapter Ka. F, my name is Night Sorrow, and I come from the current and future Paragon worlds. I wonder if I can have a chat with Senior. Night Sorrow felt that there was no need to beat around the bush. It was better to talk directly. He didn't know how to beat around the bush. Alright, you have a lot of power of virtue. Countless years have passed, and only one of the Origin Realm's powerhouses is slightly stronger than you. However, you're still young, the Tree Spirit said. Then, the Tree Spirit began to talk to itself. The Origin Realm had once been an autark realm, and it hadn't been destroyed even after 1,000 reincarnations of an autark realm and 1,000 reincarnations of a secondary autark realm. This was because the World Tree had been there, and it had maintained the origin energy of the Origin Realm. The Origin Realm's destruction was all because of me. When I saw other cultivators cultivating and falling one after another to the god-slaying tribulation, I felt that it was possible, so I began to cultivate. When I reached the tribulation of 9 sovereigns, I didn't suppress myself and directly tried to break through the god-slaying tribulation. I felt that there was no problem because my body was innately gifted, and my soul wasn't weak either. However, I still failed like the other cultivators, the Tree Spirit said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew why Tran Heng's judgment was wrong. The World Tree's aura was weak not because it was in its infancy stage, but because it had failed its tribulation. Moreover, the origin energy it contained concealed this apocalyptic aura. What are the consequences of failing the tribulation? Night Sorrow didn't hide anything and directly spoke his thoughts. I'll die. The reason I'm holding on now is because of my unique nature, the World Tree said. I'm here this time. Originally, I wanted to bring Senior to the Sovereign World so that it wouldn't be destroyed. The current Sovereign World and the future Sovereign World would be connected, and both worlds would benefit. Unfortunately, something happened to Senior. However, that's not important. Is there anything Senior needs my help with? Night Sorrow thought for a moment before asking. He knew that he had failed his mission this time. The World Tree had a problem, and it wasn't because he didn't work hard enough. This was the will of the heavens. I can't do it anymore. After failing the tribulation, something happened to my body, and I couldn't stop the origin realm from shattering. This tree world is a relatively large fragment of the origin realm. I don't need any help in this situation. The tree spirit's hazy eyes sized up Night Sorrow, and light occasionally flashed from them. I'm a bit helpless. Heavenly concubine, Auntie Faye, let's rest for a bit and then return. Yi Shang said. He wasn't too disappointed. This was supposed to be a journey of opportunity. Now, it was just an opportunity that had gone up in smoke. The heavenly concubine and Wu Lingfei nodded, and Wu Lingfei brewed a pot of tea. Night Sorrow, we came for nothing this time. We even damaged your origin energy and damaged your foundation. The heavenly concubine felt a bit unbalanced. Life is full of ups and downs. It's fine if my origin energy is damaged. If there's a problem, it's fine as long as it's resolved. Senior, can I have some tea? Night Sorrow picked up a cup of tea and looked at the tree spirit. The tree spirit shook its head. The virtuous emperor is really open-minded. If there's a problem, it'll be resolved. However, you don't look like you're damaged. Chapter 22:45. The tree spirit waved her right hand, and a few images appeared in front of her. A moment later, it changed to the scene of Night Sorrow, heavenly concubine, and the black horned dragon fighting. Tree spirit finished reading it seriously. I've been in a deep sleep all this time, so I don't know about these things. You fought beautifully, but the obsession in your heart is too strong. This is not what a virtuous emperor like you should do. Perhaps. I'm the realm lord of the 9 regions world, the human emperor of the celestial realm. If I can fight for the opportunity to protect the 100 regions world, I'll do my best. Unfortunately, things don't go as I wish. Night Sorrow smiled. He felt that he was stubborn, but not obsessed. Realm Lord. Your cultivation isn't bad, but it hasn't reached the level of ruling, right? Yes, you said that it's a newborn world. Perhaps you can do it with your cultivation. The tree spirit nodded. No. I'm not ruling by force. I'm the realm lord recognized by the origins. Night Sorrow shook the clear sky pagoda, and the 9 regions origin pearl in the area where the soul-raising grass was returned to Night Sorrow's spirit sea. Then, it floated above his head and rotated once before entering the spirit sea again. Origin Realm Lord, you're a realm lord recognized by the world's origin. You're a realm lord that surpasses the great realm's origin. The tree spirit's voice was very surprised. Yes, the 9 regions world has only been formed for a few 100,000 years, but it's developing quite quickly. Night Sorrow smiled. The 9 regions origin pearl returned to the divine sea, and Night Sorrow's emotions became more stable. The newborn world has developed to this extent in just a few 100,000 years. This isn't because of the world itself, but because of you, the realm lord, the tree spirit said. Some of my seniors said the same thing. Night Sorrow nodded. I watched your battle. Your clone lost 20% of its essence blood, but it's not a big problem. In the origin realm, there's a cultivation technique called the infinite body forging. It cripples a part of the body and uses the crippled essence blood to replenish the body's vitality. Then, it uses a secret technique and resources to regenerate the severed limb. If this continues, the body will be filled with vitality. The tree spirit said. That's a good idea. It's worth researching, Night Sorrow said as he rubbed his head. Ha! Research. One can be unyielding if one has no desires. You have done well as a merit emperor. The tree spirit smiled because Night Sorrow didn't ask for it and wanted to research it himself. After drinking a cup of tea, Night Sorrow stood up and cupped his hands towards the tree spirit. Sorry for disturbing Senior's meditation. Auntie Faye, heavenly concubine, let's go back. There's no rush, said the tree spirit. Senior, do you have any other instructions? Night Sorrow turned to the tree spirit. Sometimes, things can take a turn for the better. Perhaps you didn't come in vain. I don't have much time left, and I've been persisting because of my obsession. Because of the young world tree, my daughter is still in the womb and will be able to survive on her own soon. I've been looking for a suitable world for her. After listening to your description, I feel that your world is not bad. However, I still want to take a look at your world. I don't care what the current sovereign realm is like. I want to see the world where you are the realm master. The tree spirit said. The young world tree. You want to see the 9 regions world? Sigh, in fact, the place that needs the help of the world tree the most right now is the celestial realm. Night Sorrow said after a moment of surprise. He was very conflicted because he couldn't explain the situation to Tran Hung and King Yewu. I don't care so much. Do you think it's okay or not? Asked the tree spirit. Alright. At this time, I don't care so much. It's not that I don't care about the celestial realm. Night Sorrow shook his head. While they were talking, a branch of the world tree floated down. The tree spirit flashed into the branch, and the branch landed in front of Night Sorrow. You can take this branch with you. Then, the tree spirit disappeared and entered the branch. Night Sorrow grabbed the branch. I can't carry it forever, right? Can you enter my spatial treasure? Night Sorrow asked. Of course, that's not a problem. You can't harm me even if you want to. Although I'm just a temporary doppelganger, I can mobilize my power. Destroying your Dharma treasure is a piece of cake for me. However, you can keep it for now. If it's inconvenient, you can put it into your spatial treasure. Although he had agreed, Tree Spirit still gave Night Sorrow a warning. Holding the branch of the world tree, Night Sorrow and the others left. Night Sorrow sighed as he said, we still have to waste some time. The 1,000 Realms whirling defense is too strong. It took him a year to get here, but Night Sorrow felt that it would take him at least 3 months to return. I can make things easier for you. After the tree spirit finished speaking, a branch of the world tree appeared and extended downwards. Then, a space-time tunnel appeared. Although Night Sorrow was shocked, he understood that the 1,000 Realms defense was the world tree's method. It was normal for it to be able to send the 3 of them out. After passing through the space-time tunnel, it took Night Sorrow and the others a moment to arrive outside the 1,000 Realms whirling avatar. It was difficult to come here, but it was easy to come back. Let's go. Night Sorrow tightened his grip on the Samsara halberd on his back. He held the branch of the world tree in his left hand and took a sip from the wine jar in his right. Without any opponents, Night Sorrow and the other 2 successfully returned to the entrance of the world of trees. After opening the seal, Night Sorrow brought Wu Lingfei and the heavenly concubine back to the ethereal dynasty. Let's go home. The tree spirit said, the spiritual chi here is quite dense, but the origin energy is weak. In other words, there is no world origin in this world. Yes, the origin world sovereign has already reincarnated. Night Sorrow nodded. Without stopping in the celestial realm, Night Sorrow and the other 2 entered the 9 regions world through Xingyue City. This is the 9 regions world. Night Sorrow said. Why? At this time, the 9 regions origin body appeared. He felt a strong origin energy and left the heaven-sealing Great Hall. Greetings, World Sovereign. The tree spirit appeared on the branch. The World Tree. Greetings, World Sovereign. The 9 regions origin body cupped his hands at the World Tree. Night Sorrow had the 9 regions origin bead with him, but Night Sorrow didn't activate it. The 9 regions origin bead had no consciousness. Night Sorrow explained the situation to the 9 regions origin body. Come and take a look at the 9 regions world. The world sovereign will be satisfied because the 9 regions world has a merit realm lord. The 9 regions origin body said. After cupping her hands at the 9 regions origin body, the world tree's branch flew away. She wanted to take a look at the 9 regions world herself. World Sovereign, if the world tree settles down in our 9 regions world, it should be a good thing for the 9 regions world. Night Sorrow looked at the 9 regions origin body and said, "The world tree's existence is most beneficial to the world origin. There is no danger of the origin energy being exhausted. It will break through the lifespan of the world itself. In other words, the world's level won't decrease or be destroyed." The 9 regions origin body said to Night Sorrow, "Then it depends on whether the world tree is willing to stay or not. We can't force it." Night Sorrow said. Chapter 2246. Don't worry, Universe Sovereign. I won't embarrass the 9 regions world. The 9 regions world's reputation isn't just mine, it's yours, and it's also the reputation of all living beings in the 9 regions world. No matter what, we have to live with pride, Night Sorrow said. That's right. You can be at ease and do whatever you want. I approve of you. The living beings of the 9 regions world approve of you. Whatever you do, whether it's right or wrong, even if it's bad, we'll all bear it together, said the 9 regions origin body. Strength of character. This was one of the civilizations in the 9 regions world. It was what Night Sorrow and 9 regions origin body pursued. Thank you for supporting Night Sorrow, Universe Sovereign, Night Sorrow said. Although the world origin body had recognized him as its master, Night Sorrow still respected the world origin body very much. There's no need to be polite between us. You were the one who fixed the broken 9 regions world. You were also the one who brought the 9 regions world's supreme attributes. To be fair, you created the 9 regions world's present and future, so you have the right to be its master, 9 regions origin body explained his thoughts. He was completely supportive of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow and the 9 regions origin body then discussed the matter of cultivating soul-nurturing grass. Move a portion of it to the heaven sealing hall. Also, leave some in your spatial treasure. When you're not cultivating in the heaven sealing hall, leave some in your spatial treasure. It can provide you with energy to strengthen your soul. That's the most suitable arrangement, said the world essence body. He was being considerate for Yishan's sake. Night Sorrow then moved half of the soul-nurturing grass to the sky-sealing palace. As for who was qualified to cultivate in the sky-sealing palace and who was qualified to use the energy of the soul-nurturing grass, Night Sorrow and 9 regions origin body had their own judgment. He knew who had contributed to the 9 regions world. After talking for a while, Night Sorrow stopped the heavenly concubine, who wanted to continue cultivating. Night Sorrow took her and Wu Lingfei back to the city in the sky. Night Sorrow took the 2 women to see his family. He didn't want the heavenly concubine to feel like she had no family and friends. The Yi family naturally welcomed the heavenly concubine and Wu Ling concubine warmly. After living for so long, the heavenly concubine felt that her heart had become numb and lonely. Now that she was in the city in the sky, these negative feelings were diluted quite a bit. Qing Yan, Xiaolei, the heavenly concubine is one of the top experts in the entire celestial realm. You can ask her for advice when you're free. You won't find it troublesome, right? Night Sorrow asked as he sipped his tea. It's pointless for you to say that. When have I ever complained about trouble? But I will come here often in the future. I hope you don't find it troublesome. Heavenly concubine said with a smile. She knew that Night Sorrow wanted her life to be a little more colorful, which was why he made such an arrangement. Auntie Heavenly Concubine, in our family, mother and concubine usually have the final say. Yi Xiaolei said with a smile. You're such a shameless girl. You're telling me everything. Yang Lei laughed and scolded her. Night Sorrow, you've been working very hard outside. You've been very tired, and very difficult. But in reality, you're living a real life. You're living a life of flesh and blood. Your parents are healthy, your wife is virtuous, your children are happy, and you have both status and identity. What is this? This is a winner in life. Heavenly Concubine said. She looked at Night Sorrow with envy. That's right. High-level cultivators are all lonely. Their loved ones have been taken away by time. They're still alive, but other than cultivation, they don't have any pursuits or joy. Lin Piaomiao said. That's true. There were once emperors and emperors who committed suicide because they had lived enough without any joy. They couldn't find a goal in life and their Tao heart collapsed. Heavenly Concubine said. That's quite scary. Yi Xiaolei stuck out her tongue. Everyone, cultivate well. When the family is together, there won't be such messy things. Night Sorrow said. 13. Eldest senior brother and senior sister Qianqian's marriage has been decided on the 6th of next month. Your 9 realms doppelganger didn't come home, so we didn't tell you. Sikong Chuyu said. There's still half a month. Then I won't go anywhere in this half a month. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said. Gong Xian was going to get married. This was a big deal. In addition, he also had to wait for news about the world tree. While the family banquet was being prepared, Night Sorrow, Papa Gu, his parents, and Heavenly Concubine were chatting. CT Head. MFA. Night Sorrow, if you don't work hard, you'll be safe in the 9 realms world. Papa Gu said. That's right. Son, you're the realm master of the 9 realms world. You have absolute control over the 9 realms world. As long as you don't leave the 9 realms world, no one can threaten you. Yu Qing said. Mother, what you say makes sense. However, there are 2 sides to every coin. If I didn't leave the 9 realms world, I wouldn't have achieved what I have today. The 9 realms world is still filled with danger. If cultivators from other realms attack, we won't be able to defend ourselves. Although it's dangerous to wander outside, I can improve myself faster. Night Sorrow said. Qing, don't worry about the child. He knows what he's doing. Yi Wuyo said. Yu Qing nodded. That's right. Your son is someone who can make the entire celestial realm tremble with a stomp of his feet. There are some things that he can handle himself. That's not right. What's wrong? You're all grown up now. Why are you being so self-righteous? Yu Qing glared at Night Sorrow. Mother, you're thinking too much. Your son wouldn't dare. Night Sorrow hurriedly apologized. Hee. Heavenly Concubine, I've made a fool of myself. Yu Qing smiled at the Heavenly Concubine. There's nothing to make a fool of. Actually, having parents educate and scold you is also a kind of happiness. Many people beg for it. The Heavenly Concubine smiled. The Yi family's banquet was very casual and lively. Everyone was talking and laughing. Yi Shang also asked some questions about the child and expressed his own views at the same time. Seeing this scene, the Heavenly Concubine's thoughts went back to 9 years ago. She only had this kind of life when she was just born. Heavenly Concubine, if you like, you can come over anytime. Our family is like this every day. Although we're all cultivators and don't need to eat, this is the feeling of home. Yu Qing said. Heavenly Concubine, you said you like the lake. Then find a place by the lake and build a mansion. Night Sorrow said. Auntie, look. You're inviting me, but Night Sorrow is already chasing me away. The Heavenly Concubine smiled. Ah. Heavenly Concubine, look at what you're saying. I'm just being nice. Night Sorrow was stunned by the Heavenly Concubine's words. I know you're being nice. Actually, it's not that troublesome. Just build a residence on the protruding island east of the city in the sky. The Heavenly Concubine said. Chapter 2247. Didn't you say I can choose as I wish? I'm just choosing a place to live. That island is still yours. You can plant whatever you want. I'll only help you take care of it. I won't take it for myself. The Heavenly Concubine smiled. All right. Build a pavilion and hire a gardener. That's fine too. Night Sorrow said. These were all small matters to the Yi family and the Heavenly Concubine. In the next few days, Night Sorrow stayed in the city in the sky with his family. The Heavenly Concubine also stayed for a few days before going to 9 Regions City. Night Sorrow stayed in the city in the sky for 9 days. The tree spirit of the world tree came. She was brought here by the heavenly concubine after arriving at 9 regions city. Night Sorrow personally received her because it was related to the outcome. How is our 9 regions world? Night Sorrow asked. A virtuous world. The 9 regions world civilization is very high. Tree spirit said. This is human civilization. Night Sorrow nodded. Night Sorrow didn't mention inviting the world tree to live in the 9 regions world. In the words of the 9 regions origin body, there was no need to put down his face to beg others. He couldn't lose the spirit of the 9 regions people. Also, when he first met the tree spirit, Night Sorrow had already expressed his willingness. There was no need to say anything more. After a while, the tree spirit was silent for a while before speaking. Why don't you ask this sovereign about my plans? Actually, whether I ask or not, the tree spirit has already waited in your heart, right? Things are relative. Although the 9 regions world, or rather, any world would want the world tree to live in, the tree spirit also needs to choose a suitable world. This is a win-win situation. After observing the 9 regions world for 9 days, the tree spirit should have made a decision. Night Sorrow said. Yes, the 9 regions world is very good. Not only is it a future sovereign world, but it's also a world of etiquette. This sovereign has decided to place my daughter in the 9 regions world. Please take care of her. Tree spirit didn't beat around the bush and directly stated her decision. Night Sorrow stood up and bowed to the tree spirit. Night Sorrow thanks the tree spirit on behalf of the billions of living beings in the 9 regions world for your decision. You're too polite, Realm Lord Night. It's rare for Realm Lord Night to have such achievements in just 1,000 years. Most importantly, your character is excellent. I believe in you. The tree spirit said. Thank you for your praise, Tree Supreme. Night Sorrow will definitely take good care of Princess Tree, said Night Sorrow. Permanent 5M free of charge CN little g, later, this sovereign will send her over. As for the place where she grows up, Realm Lord you can arrange it. The tree sovereign was also very polite. Supreme Tree, I would like to ask, is there any way to solve the crisis of the celestial realm? I really don't want to see the celestial realm destroyed. That would be a great catastrophe, said Night Sorrow with a sigh. Realm Lord Night is a pinnacle virtuous emperor and has a compassionate heart. This is very rare, but it's not impossible. This sovereign's daughter grows up in the 9 regions world. When she grows up, the world's origin energy will seep into the void and bless the celestial realm. During this period, this sovereign will move to the celestial realm. What do you think, Realm Lord Night? The tree spirit said. Thank you, Supreme Tree. Night Sorrow exhaled. Alright, you're welcome. Since you're taking care of my daughter, we're not outsiders. Also, this sovereign also hopes that you can rise. This is the limitless body tempering art. The tree spirit's branches slid on the ground and carved a manual. Yishang took out a pen and paper and wrote, Yishang thanks Sir Tree Supreme for your guidance. Sir Tree Supreme, do you need Yishang's help? Yes, but it's not a big problem. It's just a place to live. When we came, that city was pretty good. I'll take root there. You can arrange the specific details. Also, the existence of my daughter has to be kept a secret. She's still in her infancy and doesn't have much power to protect herself, said the tree spirit. Alright, I have a special clone in the 9 regions world. Its battle power is no different from the original body, but the restriction is that it can't leave the 9 regions world. It's not a problem to protect Princess Tree as she grows up. The 9 regions world lord will also take care of her. Very good, Realm Lord Night has prepared everything, said the tree spirit. Because I'm confident. If Supreme Tree wants to choose a place for Princess Tree, there's no place more suitable than the 9 regions world, said Night Sorrow with a smile. After talking for a while, Night Sorrow sent the tree spirit away. After arriving at Xingyue City, Night Sorrow also talked to Qing Emperor and the others. He told Qing Emperor and the others that there was no need to stop the tree's spirit from coming, and that they were to cooperate fully with Supreme Tree if it wanted to do anything. After that, Night Sorrow took the teleportation formation to Tianhuang City. When Night Sorrow returned, the Tran Hung immediately called for a meeting of the elders because everyone wanted to know what had happened. Almost all the elders were present. Everyone had been staying in Tianhuang City recently. After everyone had arrived, Night Sorrow stood up and told them about the result of the trip. "I'm sorry, the World Tree has to stay in Xingyue City and can't come to Tianhuang City." "It's not that Night Sorrow is selfish, it's the World Tree's intention," said Night Sorrow. "Young City Lord, there's no need for you to apologize. It's a blessing for the World Tree to stay in the celestial realm. It's the same everywhere. If she wants to follow you to the 9 regions world, everyone can only watch," said the Heavenly Astral King with a smile. "It's good that everyone understands," said Night Sorrow. "For this matter, we feel very apologetic that the young City Lord had to personally charge and break through the enemy lines. Killing a Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivator must have been a thrilling battle. If we could witness it with our own eyes, it would be a blessing," said the White Tiger King. "That's because I'm fighting with others. My luck is better." Yi Shan smiled. "Fei, you didn't record it in a memory crystal ball?" Huang Ling asked Wu Lingfei. "This." Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow. She had indeed recorded it, but she felt that it wasn't right to take it out without asking for Night Sorrow's opinion. Since Huang Ling had asked, she couldn't lie. Some cultivators disdained to do things that went against their conscience. "I really recorded it. Let's take it out and show it to everyone. Is it convenient for you, young City Lord?" Huang Ling said excitedly and looked at Night Sorrow. This required Night Sorrow's approval. "Let's take a look." "It's nothing. The other person who participated in the battle is the guardian of our 9 regions world," Night Sorrow said. He wanted to confirm the identity of the heavenly concubine first. This way, the others wouldn't say anything else and wouldn't ask about it easily. Huang Ling took the crystal ball that Wu Lingfei had recorded and watched it in the conference hall. Everyone fell silent after watching it. The battle was too intense and exciting. It was a battle of life and death. It's a combination of tactics and bravery. Patriarch Lin recorded 2 copies and sealed them in the Heavenly Desolate City and the Divine Capital City. Future generations must know about the deeds of the predecessors. After calming down, Tran Hung spoke. He knew that Night Sorrow had really gone all out and was very touched. Chapter 2248. "It's just that my doppelganger's chi and blood were damaged, which affected my battle prowess. I just need to recuperate." "Don't worry, Uncle," Night Sorrow said. "Night Sorrow, this bottle contains the blood essence of our blood Qilin race's ancestor. This is 1 drop. There is another drop in the ancestral hall. If 1 drop is not enough, I will go back and get more." Blood Qilin King pushed a jade bottle to Night Sorrow. "This won't do. The blood essence of our blood Qilin race's ancestor is very important. Night Sorrow will think of other ways." Night Sorrow didn't take it. He heard Blood Qilin King say that it was in the ancestral hall. He knew that the blood essence of the Qilin race's ancestor was very precious. It would be a lie to say that it isn't precious. But using it on you will benefit the celestial realm. Blood Qilin King pushed the bottle back to Night Sorrow. "Keep it," King Yawu said. Hearing King Yawu's words, Night Sorrow cupped his fists at Blood Qilin King again and kept the jade bottle. "Night Sorrow, your thinking is wrong. You must think that your doppelganger's soul is fine after burning its blood essence. At most, you can just recultivate. But the original doppelganger is different from the original doppelganger. The original doppelganger has gone through battles and years of accumulation. Its battle prowess is real, which means that it has a foundation. But a new doppelganger won't do. It will be lacking a lot. So, you have to protect your current doppelganger. It will also build a foundation for the future." King Yawu looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Yes, you are young. As your seniors, we have to check for you. You must listen to us." Tran Hung said. Night Sorrow thanks the city lord, uncle, and seniors. Night Sorrow cupped his fists at the group. "If you want to say thanks, it should be us. You have a base and it is very stable. If you stay in the 9-domain world, nothing can affect you. You have also insisted on working hard for the celestial realm. We are all grateful and grateful." The Golden Dragon King said. "Lord Golden Dragon King, you're too polite. You're treating me like an outsider," Night Sorrow said. The Golden Dragon King's words were true, but they were also a little harsh. Everyone chatted casually. Tran Hung and the others felt that there would be no war for the time being. Night Sorrow could go home and rest for a while. If anything happened, they would send someone to inform Night Sorrow. After telling the Demon King and Pu Luo about the Humanitarian League, Night Sorrow left the Heavenly Desolate City. He should rest. He hasn't been quiet since he arrived in the Celestial Realm, the Grand Elder said. He needs to rest. He also needs to settle down. He needs to calm down. Give him time. Even if it's just a little time, it will be enough for him to rise. Perhaps the next time we meet, it will be a different him, Tran Hung said. King Yawu and the others nodded. They all knew that Night Sorrow's shortcoming was that he didn't have enough time to cultivate. Night Sorrow returned to the 9-domain world. His clone entered the Clear Sky Pagoda and started to absorb the Kirin blood. After listening to the Heavenly Concubine and Tran Hung, Night Sorrow also understood the importance of the original clone. If he didn't have to give it up, it wouldn't affect his cultivation. However, the quality of the clone was different. While the clone cultivated, Night Sorrow's original body went to a quiet place. He successfully passed the lightning trial and broke through to the 5 Emperor trial. After successfully breaking through, Night Sorrow felt that his entire body was filled with strength. After the breakthrough, he stabilized his cultivation in the time acceleration. Night Sorrow returned to the city in the sky because it was going to be Gong Xian's wedding soon. He definitely couldn't miss it. He always remembered this in his heart. Asterisk at most 2J New Chapter 50, Section D, K+. When Night Sorrow returned to the 9-domain world, the Heavenly Concubine appeared. You passed the lightning trial without a sound. 5 Emperor trial. You're getting closer and closer to the high-level Emperor trial. It's okay. Are you cultivating? If not, come with me to the city in the sky to rest. We'll go to the Medicine Valley together later. My senior brother's wedding is coming soon, Night Sorrow said to the Heavenly Concubine. I'll listen to your arrangements, the Heavenly Concubine said. The Heavenly Concubine said. She knew that Yi Shang wanted to take her there so that others could get to know her and her status in the 9 regions world. It was all for her own good. Night Sorrow and the Heavenly Concubine returned to their home in the city in the sky. Auntie Fei, Heavenly Concubine, things went smoothly. The Tree Supreme has decided to send her young daughter to the 9-domain world to live. She's going to Star Moon City herself, Night Sorrow said. Both worlds have world trees. This is a happy ending, Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. Not necessarily. The old world tree failed the god-destroying trial. She relied on her talent and the world origin power in her body to survive. However, there's a time limit. Night Sorrow shook his head. He didn't know how long the old world tree could live, but he knew it was only a time limit. How long exactly? Yang Lei asked anxiously. It won't be a short time. The Tree Supreme will persist until the young world tree grows up and can bring blessings to the celestial realm, Night Sorrow said. 13. If this operation succeeds, you'll be doing a great deed for the celestial realm and the billions of beings in the 9-domain world. Yang Lei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. The moment the tree spirit agreed, my power of virtue increased again. It reached a bottleneck, a limit. When Night Sorrow saw the tree's spirit in the city in the sky, the heavenly Tao determined that Night Sorrow had done a great deed for the celestial realm. Therefore, a large amount of power of virtue was added to him, allowing his power of virtue to reach the pinnacle of the virtuous emperor realm. Wu Lingfei and the heavenly concubine also nodded. They also felt some changes in fate. Although it wasn't clear, they knew it was due to luck. Well done. Son, there's nothing you can't do, Yu Qing said with a smile. Mother. Night Sorrow bowed to Yu Qing. The family sat together. Night Sorrow asked Yang Lei and Aoi how the gifts were. They had to be thick. They're ready. Don't worry. Aoi said with a smile. When I first arrived at Tai Xian Peak, Master didn't allow me to join the sect. It was eldest senior brother who guided me in my cultivation. Eldest senior brother used himself to teach me that I should be loyal to my friends. In addition, he also prepared 2 congratulatory gifts, Yi Shang said. Aoi and Yang Lei both nodded. They knew that Night Sorrow had almost become Gong Xian's disciple. They also knew that Night Sorrow and Gong Xian had a deep relationship. Prepare 2 more gifts. Night Sorrow, are you paying for me? The heavenly concubine said with a smile. Yes, and Auntie Fei. Night Sorrow nodded. Then Auntie Fei won't be polite with you. You're now the most powerful family in the 9-domain world, Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Night Sorrow didn't refute because it was impossible to be humble. Chapter 2249. Night Sorrow, you've always been humble. Why aren't you humble now? The heavenly concubine smiled at Night Sorrow and asked. Newest 19 chapters Supra and, there's no point in being humble. Our family's treasures, alchemy, and blacksmithing materials are indeed of high quality. Night Sorrow shook his head. Let's not talk about other things. Just the materials for this defensive array are something that other factions can't provide. Wu Lingfei pointed at the dark ice unicorn tiger's shining body. After the arrangements were made, Yi Shan told them to call him when they set off. Then, he entered the secret cultivation room. He still needed to understand himself. After all, he had just advanced. In addition to the increase in his cultivation level, Night Sorrow's power of merit had increased a lot. He had reached the critical point of the deluxe merit emperor. If he had another breakthrough, he would become the unprecedented deluxe merit emperor. The increase in power of merit made Night Sorrow's deluxe merit Dao body much stronger. After cultivating in seclusion for 2 days, Night Sorrow left with his family after being reminded by his family. The Medicine Valley area was very lively. Although it had experienced 2 big storms, with Taixian Peak there, the Medicine Valley was the #1 sect in the 9 domains world. Its position was unshakable. Not to mention other things, the statue of Night Sorrow on Danding Cliff was enough to ensure the Medicine Valley's transcendent status. Medicine Valley's guest house was full except for the reserved rooms. The inns in Danding City were all full. Some people even stayed in Dongxian City, waiting for the Medicine Valley Master's big day. Night Sorrow brought his family, Wu Lingfei, and the heavenly concubine to Medicine Valley. They didn't go through the main entrance. Instead, they wrapped themselves in energy and arrived at Taixian Peak in 2 shuttles. Night Sorrow had just found his footing when July and Ningyun appeared. The 2 immediately bowed. Uncle, Master. If it's nothing serious, there's no need to be so formal. Let me introduce you. This is Heavenly Concubine, a friend of mine. In the future, you must treat her with respect. Night Sorrow helped July and Ningyun up. Greetings, Grandmaster, Grandmaster, Grandmaster's wives, Lord Golden Phoenix, Lord Heavenly Concubine. July and Ningyun greeted the others. 13. Gong Xian and the others appeared. Gong Xian immediately gave Night Sorrow a hug. Greetings, eldest senior brother. Greetings, senior brothers. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and greeted the other senior brothers. Mo Chen and Guanyi had also returned to the Medicine Valley in advance. 13. Eighth senior brother missed you so much. He missed the days when you accompanied eighth senior brother to drink. This time, you must accompany eighth senior brother well. Shi Tianlin came over and hugged Night Sorrow. Ha! I plan to stay here for a while and drink with senior brothers. Night Sorrow said with a laugh. Not only did Shi Tianlin miss the old days, but so did Night Sorrow. Eldest senior brother, has Master been staying at the main peak all this time? Yang Lei asked. She was the emperor, so she could discover Yang Yu's whereabouts with a sweep of her soul power. Yes, I was originally at the main peak too. After all, I had to deal with some matters in the Medicine Valley, so I had to show my attitude. Now that I'm getting married, Master asked me to prepare for my personal matters, Gong Xian said. I see. Eighth senior brother, didn't you want to drink? Ask your disciples to prepare some food and wine. It's a must to have a big drink tonight, Yang Lei said to Shi Tianlin. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow brought his family to the bamboo forest peak. This time, Night Sorrow did not refuse guests. He already knew about the changes in the Medicine Valley, so there was no point in avoiding suspicion. The members of the Medicine Valley who knew Night Sorrow came to visit him one after another. Lin Jingyi also wanted to see Night Sorrow, but when she arrived at the Taishan Peak, she was persuaded to go back by Tang Qianqian, who was staying at the Taishan Peak. Tang Qianqian had a lot of interaction with Gong Xian, so she knew some things. She knew that Night Sorrow was disappointed in Lin Jingyi, so she did not want her to discuss Night Sorrow. These things could not be hidden from Night Sorrow and the others. Night Sorrow sighed. Even if Tang Qianqian did not stop him, he would have asked others to. He did not want to see Lin Jingyi. During Gong Xian's wedding, Night Sorrow showed up and presented a gift in public. The heavenly concubine and willing concubine did the same. It was the same for the other forces in the 9 domains world. There were a few peaks in the Medicine Valley that did not have a good reputation, but Gong Xian's reputation was very high. Both the forces that should come and the forces that should not come all came, all for the sake of forming good karma. After Gong Xian's wedding, the heavenly concubine and willing concubine left. Night Sorrow's children also went out to train. Night Sorrow and his wives stayed at the bamboo forest peak. This situation made the older generation of Medicine Valley very happy. Night Sorrow was back, and Night Sorrow was no longer upset about the past. The disciples of Medicine Valley who joined later were also very happy. Night Sorrow was the pride of Medicine Valley. He was the belief of the disciples of Medicine Valley and the goal of their hard work. Night Sorrow stayed at the bamboo forest peak and went into seclusion. There were no battles in the celestial realm, so he could cultivate in peace. He also had to seize the time because he did not know when the cultivators of the ancient world group would appear. Also, the demon-winged clan was still watching. This time, Night Sorrow's original body and doppelganger went into seclusion. The doppelganger cultivated the Wuji physical conditioning art. It constantly broke its arms and used the essence blood of the arms to replenish the vital blood of the main parts of the body. Then, it used the blood of the black dragon and auspicious blood to regenerate the broken limbs. Then, it continued to advance. This was the essence of the Wuji physical conditioning art. The regenerated limbs were not weaker than before. Night Sorrow knew that the problem of his doppelganger's vital blood could be solved with the help of the Wuji physical conditioning art. When the doppelganger cultivated the Wuji physical conditioning art to replenish the lost vital blood, Night Sorrow had an idea. The Wuji physical conditioning art could replenish vital blood, so it could also be used for cultivation. If the original body cultivated it, then the strength of his body would increase, which would be very helpful for the improvement of his merit Tao body. Thinking of this, Night Sorrow shook his head helplessly. He knew that his painful journey was about to begin. In the past, cultivating the myriad Tao Tong required him to strengthen his muscles and bones. Now, he had to be even more ruthless and cultivate his limbs directly. Night Sorrow refined some elixirs to replenish vital blood and took out the black dragon's essence blood. Then, he broke his left arm and began cultivating the Wuji physical conditioning art. The pain was unbearable. Even if one's cultivation was shocking, the pain of a broken limb was unbearable. Moreover, it was broken by oneself. While Night Sorrow was cultivating, the celestial realm and the 9 domains world quietened down. Also, the matter of the world tree had been settled. The young world tree had been planted behind the heaven-sealing great hall of the 9 domains world. For safety, Night Sorrow had the 9 domains world's origin body watch over it and not allow anyone to get close. No one, including the Yi family, was allowed to get close. The tree spirit's original body had also arrived in the celestial realm. This caused a huge commotion. It was too shocking. The world tree itself was huge, covering the sky and the sun. In addition, the origin energy of the world was also very dense. It was impossible not to cause a commotion. Chapter 2250. Good work. It's their good fortune and ours to be able to find a world tree to settle in. It's hard to say who the celestial realm belongs to. If the celestial realm is doing well, we're happy to see it. Let's not care about anything else for the time being and continue to investigate. We must be cautious and not lose our men easily. It's not easy for our men to enter the celestial realm, Mo Zhantian said. He was not in a good condition and still needed to recover. Mo Zhantian had suffered serious injuries last time. Not to mention his future, it would take a long time for him to recover his full combat strength. The main reason was that the resources he needed were not easy to find. The Heaven Wasteland domain had a long history, but 1,000 reincarnations ago, the Heaven Wasteland domain had gone downhill. After 1,000 reincarnations as a secondary supreme world, their resources were almost depleted. They were not as rich as the 100 races of the celestial realm. Without the strength and opportunity to attack, Mo Zhantian could only wait. He was not afraid because the demon imperial city was unbreakable. As long as the demon imperial city was not broken, the Demon Wings clan would not be destroyed. In the past 1,000 reincarnations, the Demon Wings clan had been through this. They would attack the celestial realm if they were strong and retreat to defend if they were weak. Now the Demon Wings clan was in the defensive phase because the celestial realm was too strong at this time. Tran Hung and King Yewu were both at the Soul Uniting Realm, the strongest realm before the Divine Tribulation. He and Mo Yutian could not defeat them. In addition, in the Middle Emperor Tribulation level competition, the 100 Kings tribe of the Demon Wings clan was also at a disadvantage compared to the 100 races of the Celestial Realm. The Demon Wings clan did not move, and the Ancient World's cultivators did not move either. The Celestial Realm stabilized. Night Sorrow stayed at the bamboo forest peak. Yang Lei and Aoi were worried about their families, so they left first and returned to the city in the sky. Night Sorrow spent 4 years in seclusion this time. In the accelerated cultivation, he cultivated for more than 200 years. After his doppelganger completely recovered, he began to cultivate the reincarnation true dragon technique. His original body was constantly strengthening his body through the regeneration of broken limbs. In the past 200 years, Night Sorrow's body had been regenerated with the exception of his genitals. While constantly regenerating broken limbs and strengthening his body, every part of his body had been strengthened. His body had also been cultivated to the level of tribulation of 6 emperors, which had once again surpassed his soul realm. In 200 years, Night Sorrow's soul realm had naturally increased, approaching the middle stage of tribulation of 5 emperors. Night Sorrow knew that when the cultivation of the body surpassed the realm, the cultivation method of using strength to prove one's Tao would appear again, and the improvement of the realm would speed up. After ending his seclusion, Night Sorrow went to Gong Xian's residence on Taixian Peak and met with Gong Xian and Tang Qianqian. He was also here to say goodbye. He was about to leave. Gong Xian and the others did not force Night Sorrow to stay. They knew that it was not easy for Night Sorrow to stay in the Medicine Valley for 4 years. In addition, Night Sorrow still had a lot of things to do. After leaving the Taixian Peak, Night Sorrow met with Yu Yangyu again and drank 2 cups of tea with Yu Yangyu. These words had always been in Night Sorrow's heart. After leaving the Medicine Valley, Night Sorrow did not go home. Instead, he went directly to the heaven-sealing Great Hall to cultivate. He had a lot of things to cultivate. He entered the soul-nourishing palace in the heaven-sealing Great Hall, which was the palace where the soul-nourishing grass was grown. This time, Night Sorrow wanted to increase his cultivation level. While increasing the strength of his body, he also wanted to increase the strength of his soul. As for why he chose the heaven-sealing Great Hall, it was because the soul-nourishing grass there grew better than the ones in the clear sky pagoda. After all, the heaven-sealing Great Hall had more source energy. When the heavenly concubine discovered Night Sorrow's appearance and wanted to meet with Night Sorrow had already entered the heaven-sealing Great Hall. His body cultivation has reached the tribulation of the 6 emperors. Using his body cultivation to drive his cultivation level, he will increase his cultivation level rapidly. This is a true genius, a true demon. The heavenly concubine murmured softly. Then, the heavenly concubine smiled. She was glad that she was Night Sorrow's friend. This was because she was sure that going against Night Sorrow would not end well. Going against Night Sorrow would result in a tragic outcome. In the city in the sky, Yi Qingyan, Zhang Yi, and Aoi were chatting. Zhang Yi, you're still young. Also, the matters of the Yi clan are decided by your martial uncle, so. Aoi looked at Zhang Yi and said. Auntie. Martial uncle won't be angry, right? Zhang Yi said softly. He was called over by Aoi today. No, I called you here today because I wanted to tell you that you don't have to be so secretive. You don't have to feel pressured. If you have any ideas, wait for your uncle master to come back and tell him. Aoi said with a smile. She was worried that Zhang Yi was young and worrying about things every day would affect his mental state. Hence, she called him over. Zhang Yi, don't worry. I'll tell my father when the time comes. Yi Qingyan said. She felt that as his senior sister, she should help Zhang Yi. After all, Zhang Yi was still young. Senior sister, there's no need for that. My father and martial uncle are both responsible men. I, Zhang Yi, am the same. Zhang Yi said. Aoi smiled and nodded. She didn't say anything else. She was very satisfied with Zhang Yi's attitude. She knew that when a woman got married, the man's shoulders had to be strong and he had to be responsible. Right now, Zhang Yi was acting very responsible. Father is too much. Once he starts cultivating, he doesn't even want his wife and children anymore. Yi Qingyan muttered. You bastard girl. If your father didn't work hard, would the 9 regions world be so stable? If our family was stable, would you be able to live comfortably? Yang Lei entered the room. In the Yi clan, there was no distinction between the family and the children were all educated the same. Scolding was normal. Auntie, Qingyan was just saying it casually. I'm not slandering father. Father is Qingyan's pride. Yi Qingyan said. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation Auntie understands you children. I know you're joking. However, you can say this at home, but you can't say it outside. People will think you're immature. Yang Lei said. Auntie is right. Yi Qingyan nodded. Night Sorrow didn't come out of seclusion. Everything went according to plan. Time passed like this. In the 20th year since Night Sorrow entered the heaven-sealing palace, Zhan Tan and Yi came to the 9 regions world. Lin Piaomiao received Zhan Tan. Sikong Chiyu came to the 9 regions world and shouted in front of the heaven-sealing palace. Night Sorrow's 9 regions clone had come out of seclusion after receiving a message from the 9 regions origin body. His reincarnation true dragon art had been fully integrated and he was studying its power. His original body was in the final stages of breaking through because he was about to enter the 5 Emperors' Tribulation. As long as he entered the 6 Emperors' Tribulation, Night Sorrow believed that even if he encountered the 9 Emperors' Tribulation, he would be able to defend himself. Chapter 2251. Night Sorrow and Sikong Chiyu returned to the city in the sky. Senior brother is here. Night Sorrow was very happy to see Zhan Tan. Ha! I haven't seen you in a long time. Jean Tan smiled. Yes, we haven't met in a long time. We must have a good chat this time. Night Sorrow nodded. Jean Tan and Yi came to the city in the sky to see Night Sorrow and to see how their son was doing. While the Yi family was preparing dinner, Jean Tan and Yi met their son. They were very satisfied with their son's achievements. After hesitating for a while, Jean Yi sighed and told his parents that he liked Yi Qingyan. You bastard, you really know how to scheme. You even want to eat the grass beside your own nest. But your senior uncle's son is really outstanding. But I don't know what your senior uncle and auntie are thinking. What about your senior sister? Jean Tan asked. He knew that this matter was very serious. If it wasn't appropriate, it would hurt the relationship between brothers. Senior sister is fine with it. Auntie knows as well. I don't know what senior uncle thinks. Jean-Yi shook his head. Jean-Yi, you can't speak of this matter so easily. This concerns the relationship between our families. You have to know that my relationship with junior brother is more important than anything else. Jean Tan said. I understand. I'll tell senior uncle later. As for what senior uncle decides, it won't affect your relationship with senior uncle. Jean-Yi said. Jean Tan waved his hand. It's fine if I don't know. But now that I know, how can I pretend not to know? That's not what a man would do. Night Sorrow and his wives were chatting. Aoi mentioned Yi Qingyan's situation again. Sixth senior sister, senior brother and senior sister won't mention this matter so easily. They're worried that we won't be willing and will hurt our relationship. Call Qingyan over and ask her. If there's no problem, we'll find a suitable time to let her know. Night Sorrow thought for a while and said. Night Sorrow felt awkward with this arrangement. But it was a matter between a man and a woman. It wasn't appropriate for the woman to ask. It was like she couldn't get married. This was a matter of etiquette and also a daughter's face. If it was anything else, Night Sorrow could have told Jean Tanming. When women chatted, they would naturally talk about family matters. Aoi, Yang Lei, the 9th General, Zhang Yi, and Qing Yan were all casually mentioned to Yi. Yi naturally didn't have any objections and the signal was sent over. What happened next was much easier. Qiantan and Yi naturally understood what was going on. Junior brother, you've already taken care of things that you shouldn't care about. We've really caused trouble for him by sending the child over. Sandalwood felt a little guilty. He felt that he had caused trouble for Night Sorrow. We do owe junior brother too much. Gu Yi, you know our family's situation, so you know what to do. Yi looked at her son and said with a heavy tone. She knew that the Zhan family's current situation started with Night Sorrow's help. After the matter was settled, Sandalwood discussed the matter with Night Sorrow. He said that everything would be arranged by Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow felt that Zhang Yi was still young. It would be better for the two of them to let nature take its course. When the child mentioned it, then he would take care of it. In addition, Sandalwood told Yi Shang that the Heaven Realm's 100 clans had fought with the Ancient World's cultivators several times at the entrance of the Ethereal Dynasty's Ancient World. They had blocked the Ancient World's cultivators from entering the Ancient World. However, the seal's effect wasn't good. Although the seal was strong, it couldn't stop the Ancient World cultivators from charging head-on. Junior brother, when are you going to fight? Sandalwood asked. I don't want to fight for now. If the situation is urgent, the city lord's residents and the sect elders will inform me. Night Sorrow replied. He was still in the cultivation stage. He planned to break through the bottleneck of the tribulation of the 5 emperors and reach the tribulation of the 6 emperors first. Alright. The god-slaying team hasn't fought for a while. Everyone is waiting for your return, Sandalwood said. Night Sorrow nodded. He was also worried about the god-slaying team. After Sandalwood and Yi left, Night Sorrow continued to cultivate in seclusion in the city in the sky. He had reached the bottleneck of his cultivation stage. He planned to stabilize it first before going for the tribulation. In the city lord's residence of the ethereal dynasty, King Yewu and a group of people from the sect elders were present. The ancient world cultivators were constantly charging. Tran Heng was in charge of the heavenly desolate city. King Yewu came over and Lu Qi went to the divine capital to take his place. The cultivators of the ancient world are endlessly trying to break through. Are we going to fight our way in? Emperor Tang asked. No. The ancient world has a long history. Not to mention the high-level cultivators, the middle-level cultivators are stronger than us. If we go in, we will be weak at the entrance. It will be troublesome if we are attacked. King Yewu shook his head and said. Should we ask the young city lord to come back? The young city lord is better at war. Qin Qianjie expressed his opinion. Not for now. Knight Sorrow is the virtuous merit emperor. He is a cultivator with 2 forbidden attributes. He needs time to improve. Don't disturb him now. When it's time to come out, he will come out. King Yewu shook his head. King Yewu also understood that he was better at individual battles. However, he felt that no one could be more meticulous than Knight Sorrow when it came to commanding a war. This was a talent. He and Tran Heng were more domineering and heroic than Knight Sorrow when it came to commanding a war. However, they were slightly lacking when it came to details. They could not win a war without losses, but Knight Sorrow could. Sect Elder Lin, what's the young city lord's situation now? King Tianxing looked at Lin Piaomiao, who had not spoken. For the past 20 years, Knight Sorrow has been cultivating in seclusion. A few days ago, he showed up. However, as his wife, I could not see through his cultivation. I did not ask, Lin Piaomiao said. She was here with a clone. Her real body was in the city in the sky. Hee hee. Your family is really something. Why didn't you ask about this? Qin Qianjie was really a little conflicted because this kind of thing would not happen in other families. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, yes, let him continue to cultivate. We will deal with these things. King Yewu directly ended the topic. He really did not want to give Knight Sorrow too much pressure. The sect elders all left. King Yewu did not move. He looked at Lin Piaomiao and said, Piaomiao, don't tell Knight Sorrow about this. His talent in commanding a war is high, but he still lacks the ability to protect himself when he encounters a top expert. Now, he needs time to improve his personal combat strength. When he can protect himself in front of any expert, then it will be time for him to come out. Thank you for your understanding, Martial Uncle. Lin Piaomiao cupped her hands at King Yewu. When no one was around, she would call King Yewu Martial Uncle like Knight Sorrow. Chapter 2252. It should be successful. He's not a stubborn person. If he reaches a bottleneck or is lost, he will come out, Lin Piaomiao said. As his wife, she knew Knight Sorrow very well. That's good, that's good. King Yewu nodded and left. He usually stayed at the entrance of the ancient world in the Misty Dynasty. Now that the elders were having a meeting, he came back to preside over it. After everyone left, Lin Piaomiao looked at Sung Ning and said, what kind of world is this? There's no peace. Yeah. Things are happening one after another. The demon-winged clan is being suppressed and the cultivators of the ancient world group appear again, Sung Ning said. She was different from before. In the past, she didn't care about fighting. Now, she just wanted to live a good life with Wu Feng. Knight Sorrow was still cultivating in seclusion. He felt at ease. The giants of the celestial realm were suppressing the demon-winged clan. He just had to cultivate hard. As for the cultivators of the ancient world group, he felt that they were a hidden danger that couldn't be solved. No one knew what was going on inside the ancient world group. However, it was stable for now. Tran Heng and King Yewu could solve it. The seclusion this time wasn't long. It was less than 2 months in the real world. Time was accelerated for more than 9 years. Knight Sorrow reached a bottleneck in his cultivation and stabilized it. After coming out of seclusion, Night Sorrow left the city in the sky and found a quiet place to trigger the lightning tribulation. In the distance, the heavenly concubine stood with her hands behind her back. Her residence beside the city in the sky had been built long ago. She had been cultivating here. Her cultivation level had reached the soul unification realm a year ago. The heavenly concubine used 50 years in the real world to cultivate the clone. Then, she used 3 years to cultivate to the soul unification realm. If you succeed, then the cultivators of the tribulation of the 9 emperors in the 9 domains world won't be your match. You'll be as stable as Mount Tai, the heavenly concubine muttered to herself. Look. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Heavenly concubine knew about Night Sorrow's situation. Based on the speed at which Night Sorrow took them to Medicine Valley, Heavenly concubine knew that Night Sorrow's strength in 9 regions world was close to tribulation of 9 emperors. If Night Sorrow entered the tribulation of 6 emperors level, the heavenly concubine felt that in the 9 domains world, soul unity realm cultivators wouldn't be able to suppress Night Sorrow. As the thunder tribulation descended, Night Sorrow relied on the energy in his body to withstand it. On one hand, he was transcending the tribulation, and on the other, he was using the Emperor Tribulation lightning to temper his body. Just like when he was in the Saint Realm and Saint King Realm, he was using the energy of the thunder tribulation to baptize his body and strengthen it. Heavenly concubine's eyes twitched when she saw Night Sorrow take on the lightning tribulation. She couldn't even take on a 6 emperor level lightning tribulation. Night Sorrow activated his virtuous Tao body to fight against the lightning tribulation. He used the lightning to baptize his body, making the energy in his flesh, blood, and meridians more solid. Bolts of lightning whizzed down, but Yi Shan stood where he was without moving. He just stood there and endured it. When the lightning tribulation was over, Yi Shan's surroundings were filled with bottomless black holes. Only the spot where he stood was like a stone pillar that supported the heavens. After transcending the lightning tribulation, Night Sorrow let out a long howl. Then, he sat down cross-legged to stabilize his cultivation and realm. His body is already so strong at the mid-stage of the tribulation of 6 emperors. It's too terrifying, Heavenly Concubine muttered in a low voice. Heavenly Concubine originally thought that Night Sorrow would take 10 days to half a month to stabilize his cultivation. But in fact, Night Sorrow didn't even get up. He just sat there and cultivated. This made Heavenly Concubine a little puzzled. 3 months later, infinite energy appeared in Night Sorrow's body. The energy of life and death was constantly displayed. So it's the lightning energy that gave him enlightenment. If the infinite energy advances and enters the Emperor Tribulation, then the taboo attribute will be at the top level. Then, it will establish the foundation of an absolute powerhouse. Heavenly Concubine clenched her jade-like hands. She was very nervous. According to what she knew, the Demon Wing Ancestors' taboo attribute was only at the peak of the high level. If Night Sorrow's taboo attribute broke through to the top level, then he would surpass the Demon Wing clan and the ancestors of the Celestial Realm's 100 races. But in fact, Night Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine were a little helpless. Night Sorrow clearly felt the opportunity to break through, but he couldn't break through that layer of window paper. When Night Sorrow stood up, he naturally noticed Heavenly Concubine, who was guarding him in the distance. His body shook twice, and Night Sorrow went to Heavenly Concubine's side. "Thank you for guarding me. You're still so polite. You're invincible in the 9 zones world. Even if some small fry came to attack you during your tribulation, your merit power and origin power would be enough to suppress them. I have to congratulate you. You've passed the 6 Emperor Tribulation. One more step and you'll pass the 7 Emperor Tribulation. I think you can go anywhere in the world then," Heavenly Concubine said. I can't go to the Demon Wing clan's Demon King City." Night Sorrow smiled. "That's true. You're going to be in a real bottleneck. Merit cultivation, taboo attribute level, mid-level Emperor Tribulation and high-level Emperor Tribulation. These breakthroughs won't be easy." Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said. I don't think increasing my level will stop me, but breaking through my merit cultivation and infinity attribute requires an opportunity. It's hard to say when that opportunity will appear. Night Sorrow shook his head. He knew the soul level could be accumulated over time, but breaking through his merit cultivation and infinity attribute could not be measured by time. It required an opportunity. Your infinity attribute is almost there, right? Heavenly Concubine asked. Now that you ask this, I'm really confused. I can clearly feel the bottleneck. I even feel like I can break through in the next moment, but I can't break through the wall, Night Sorrow said. You can't break through the bottleneck. The bottleneck can't stop you. This is called the bottleneck. Actually, you have the ability to break through, but you don't have enough foundation. It's between breaking through and not breaking through. You feel like you're missing something. You don't need an epiphany at this stage. Slowly accumulating and settling down will allow you to break through. I'll wait for the next time to celebrate with you. After hearing Night Sorrow's feelings, Heavenly Concubine's heart shook. She knew that Night Sorrow's situation was not because he was stuck at a bottleneck. It was because he didn't have enough foundation and accumulation. If what you said is true, then the merit cultivation bottleneck can't stop me. What I did in the past has always affected the celestial realm's 100 races and the 9 zones world. As long as this influence exists, then the merit power will continue to increase. The continuous increase will eventually break through the bottleneck. This bottleneck is only limited by time. Night Sorrow smiled. Looking at your smile, I'm speechless and angry. How can you cultivate like this? We've worked so hard to cultivate for countless years. Heavenly Concubine stared at Night Sorrow and sized him up. You're making my hair stand on end. We'll go back and celebrate, Night Sorrow said. After returning to Sky City, Night Sorrow told his family that he had broken through and wanted to celebrate. The Yi family was very happy. Father, what level are you now? Yi Xiaolei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. What are you asking a child for? Focus on your cultivation, Yi Shan said with a smile. Chapter 2253. In the Yi family, Lin Piaomiao was in the middle stage of the tribulation of 3 emperors. Normally, she would be able to see Night Sorrow's cultivation. However, Night Sorrow had cultivated the leakless true body. Unless her cultivation was much higher than Night Sorrow's, she wouldn't be able to see through it. All right. I just passed the tribulation of 6 emperors, Night Sorrow said. Father, we know that you were able to withstand the tribulation of 9 emperors when you were in the tribulation of 4 emperors. Now. Yi Xiaoluo was shocked. They had all seen Wu Lingfei's recording of the battle between Night Sorrow, Heavenly Concubine, and the Black-Horned Dragon. They knew Night Sorrow's strength. They didn't expect Night Sorrow to break through 2 levels in the past 20 years. What happened in the past doesn't count. There are many other external factors. Night Sorrow smiled. What didn't count in the past will count in the future. Yi Qingyan looked at Night Sorrow with admiration in her eyes. The Yi family's banquet was very lively. Moreover, it was a celebration for Night Sorrow. The whole family was very happy. After the banquet, Night Sorrow asked Lin Piaomiao about the situation in the celestial realm while drinking tea. Seeing that Night Sorrow didn't plan to continue his seclusion, Lin Piaomiao told him about the current situation in the celestial realm. Very good. My cultivation rose too quickly and I need to settle down. Battles are the best way to settle down. Sister Xian Air, tell your clone in the ethereal dynasty to inform the first army and the god-slaying team to gather and wait for orders, Night Sorrow said as he swirled the teacup in his hand. All right. Lin Piaomiao nodded. Although she hoped that Night Sorrow would be safe, she also understood that battles were the path for Night Sorrow to rise. In addition, she also hoped that Night Sorrow could become all-powerful. Father, can I join the god-slaying team? Yi Xiaoluo asked Night Sorrow. No, you can think of the reason yourself. Don't blame your father for being selfish. Night Sorrow turned and left. Little Luo, I've told you before. You can join any team in the world, but not the team under your father's command, Datura said to his son. Xiaoluo knows, but I still have some extravagant hopes in my heart. Yi Xiaoluo shook his head. Everyone knew why Knight Sorrow did not agree. Who was Yi Xiaoluo? As the young master of the Nine Domains world, his status in the god-slaying squad was naturally extraordinary. During the battle, no one would let anything happen to Yi Xiaoluo, so they had to take care of him. This would disrupt some of the battle plans, and if it was more serious, someone would die. Don't mention these things anymore. You brothers and sisters are incomparably important in your father's heart. But he won't let your uncles die for you. Lin Piaomiao said. Yi Xiaoluo, Yi Yujun, and the others bowed. They understood their father's character. After returning to his residence, Knight Sorrow brewed a pot of tea. After drinking it, he shook his head and returned to the main hall. Father, Xiaoluo knows his mistake. I won't mention this again. I'm also willing to accept father's punishment. Seeing Knight Sorrow return, Yi Xiaoluo bowed and said. What punishment? After drinking a cup of tea, your father calmed down. I feel that my words to you were a bit harsh. It's right for you to have dreams and pursuits. You don't even want to borrow father's name, so naturally, you don't want to borrow your uncle's for anything. It's just that your way of thinking is different from mine. Knight Sorrow extended his hand to help Yi Xiaoluo up. Yi Xiaoluo turned around. His eyes were a bit sore, inexplicably sore. How about this? If you want to fight, follow me in the future. Don't mix with others. Knight Sorrow said. That's suitable. When the time comes, you will follow me. But remember, I will only care about you when you have half a foot in the gates of hell. Heavenly Concubine said. Yi Xiaoluo slammed his left hand into his right palm and cupped his fists towards Knight Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine. Then, Knight Sorrow looked towards Zhang Yi and Yi Qingyan. I'm going to fight now. You guys decide your own matters. If you have any thoughts, tell Grandpa and Grandma. After giving some instructions, Yi Shang left. A father's love was like a mountain. Knight Sorrow's children fell silent. They knew that their matters, even if it was a small matter, were extremely important to Knight Sorrow. After resting for a night, Knight Sorrow set off. His battle doppelganger followed along. In the nine-domain world, his nine-domain doppelganger was enough. In the nine-domain world, his nine-domain doppelganger was invincible. Knight Sorrow asked Lin Piaomiao and the rest to meet up with the others in Ethereal Imperial City. He went to the entrance of the Ancient World Group. Knight Sorrow. Seeing Knight Sorrow arrive, King Yewu, who was originally sitting cross-legged, stood up. Greetings, Uncle Master. Knight Sorrow bowed to King Yewu. Sixth Emperor Tribulation Cultivation. Blood chi surged in your body like the tides of the sea. Impressive. King Yewu nodded as he sized up Knight Sorrow. I'm back. Uncle Master, please tell me what you need, Knight Sorrow said. Now that you're back, Uncle Master has a lot more confidence. Now, you can deal with some matters on your own. You can take on the truly important matters. King Yewu threw a futon to Knight Sorrow and let Knight Sorrow sit down. Knight Sorrow took out 2 jars of wine and drank with King Yewu at the entrance of the Ancient World Group. King Yewu was really happy because the Divine Capital had a successor. The two of them didn't talk about the big picture. They just drank. Knight Sorrow, take this. After drinking a jar of wine, King Yewu suddenly attacked Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow's body flashed as he used the Void Step to distance himself. Then, he raised his right hand and grabbed the Reincarnation Heavenly Halberd. Then, he added the Merit Dao Domain to his body. At this time, King Yewu also attacked Knight Sorrow with his long spear. He did not hold back, nor could he hold back. Knight Sorrow activated his Merit Dao body. Forbidden energy burst forth as he battled King Yewu in midair. #. Without holding back, Knight Sorrow fought to the fullest. Reincarnation energy and primordial energy attacked. Primordial destruction / and reincarnation true dragon art alternated, blocking King Yewu's attack. At this time, Blood Kirin King, Golden Dragon King, Heavenly Astral King, and Huang Ling all arrived. They had received the news and came to see Night Sorrow. When they arrived, they saw the battle in the sky. Ha, very good. Night Sorrow, you have succeeded. In the future, you can go anywhere in the world. King Yewu floated back and put away his divine spear. Thank you for showing mercy, Uncle Master. You didn't embarrass me, Night Sorrow said as he put away the reincarnation heavenly halberd. Uncle Master only used 65% of his battle strength, but you didn't use your battle clone either. Ha! Very good. King Yewu was very happy. Congratulations, young city lord. Blood Kirin King and the others cupped their hands at Night Sorrow. They were extremely shocked. They were shocked not only because of Night Sorrow's battle strength but also because of Night Sorrow's potential. Night Sorrow's cultivation was at the tribulation of 6 emperors. This meant that he had the strength to fight against the tribulation of 9 emperors. There was too much room for development. There was still 3 levels of room for improvement. He would be invincible in the world. Thank you, everyone. You have worked hard for the past few decades, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 2254. That's right. Stability isn't achieved through defense. It's achieved through fighting. If those who have evil intentions are scared, who would dare to come? The celestial realm is our celestial realm. The foreign races. Let's not talk about fighting their way in. They can't even have evil intentions. Let's start with the cultivators in the ancient world group first, then deal with the demon-winged clan, Night Sorrow said. Although his words were calm, they contained killing intent and boundless dominance. All right. King Yewu's shoulder-length hair fluttered. He admired Night Sorrow's dominance the most. It was the potential for great things. It was also the temperament of a king. Uncle, do you think it's right? Night Sorrow looked at King Yewu and asked. That's right. I also want to kill them, but I can't split myself. There's no one guarding this place when I go in. I'm worried about other people going in. Now that you're here, I have extra manpower, King Yewu said. After a discussion, Night Sorrow brought his people into the ancient world group. Blood Lin King and Astral King followed. Uncle, I'll also bring the protectors of the 9 regions, Night Sorrow said to King Yewu. Uncle and Tran Hung can't say anything about her. You can make the arrangements, King Yewu said. King Yewu and Tran Hung knew about the heavenly concubine. They also knew that even if the heavenly concubine didn't hate them, she wouldn't give them any face. All right. Night Sorrow nodded and left on the teleportation formation that had already been set up. Blood Lin King and Astral King decided to fight with Night Sorrow, so they waited there. The young city lord is so domineering. Astral King said. Domineering needs to be supported by strength. The young city lord is qualified, Blood Lin King said emotionally. When he had first met Yi Shang was still very weak. But now, Yi Shang was incomparable. Not to mention Yi Shang's super strong fighting strength, even his cultivation level had surpassed Blood Lin King. The future of the celestial realm, the hope of the celestial realm, King Yewu said. The only obstacle is the god-destroying tribulation. Otherwise, the future would belong to the 100 races of the celestial realm. When he saw Night Sorrow, he saw the future of the 100 races of the celestial realm. However, he then recalled that Night Sorrow had already come into contact with the forbidden energy. In an era, the post-celestial Tao would release a tribulation, which was the god-destroying tribulation. The young city lord is already so powerful when he is only at the tribulation of the 6 emperors. Maybe he has a chance to pass the god-destroying tribulation. After all, he has many advantages that no one before him has, Blood Kirin King said. King Yewu nodded. He also felt that there was a lot of hope. Night Sorrow's lifespan was only about 1,100 years. An era was 100 billion years. After returning to the ethereal imperial city, Night Sorrow went to the Night Moon Villa. He saw the first leader and the god-slaying team assembled. Heavenly Concubine and Yi Xiaolua were also there. Yi Xiaolua was determined to participate in the battle. "Brothers, I'm back. How have you been all these years?" Night Sorrow looked at the god-slaying team and said, "Very good. But because the leader is not here, we have been cultivating and cultivating." "It's too boring," Long Jin said. "Then you should be happy because I'm going to war." Night Sorrow turned to look at his brothers who had gone through life and death with him. "Okay." Tianyu and the others nodded. Everyone was very excited because they all liked Days of Passion. Night Sorrow asked everyone to prepare. They would depart the next day. After all these years, many of his subordinates already had families. Night Sorrow wanted to give everyone some time to explain to their families. After sending everyone away, Night Sorrow sat in the main hall of the mansion. He brewed a pot of tea and pondered. "What are you thinking about?" Lin Piaomiao sat beside Night Sorrow. "Let's not talk about the first leader. Let's talk about the god-slaying team first. Many of them have families and children. Is it appropriate for me to bring everyone out to fight? Am I dragging everyone down with me?" Night Sorrow said. "You have your concerns, but everyone has their own thoughts and pursuits. Perhaps they love this kind of life," Lin Piaomiao said. "Yes, you are not everyone. How do you know what everyone is thinking?" Yang Lei also came to the hall. Night Sorrow nodded. He felt that there was a need to talk to everyone, consider their feelings, and respect their choice. A day later, everyone returned. Without needing to be called, everyone gathered at the martial arts arena. Standing on the stage of the martial arts arena, Night Sorrow looked at all his brothers and shook his head. "Today, I have something to say. You have been through life and death with me for many years. Back then, we were all young boys. But now, it's different. Everyone has succeeded in cultivation, has children, and has a family business. So, it's no longer that carefree time. You should all have your own lives." 13th brother, what are you talking about? We are all brothers who have gone through life and death together. Naturally, we have to fight side by side, Qin Jin stood out and said. That's right. In the past, we were able to fight. What can't we do now? Ho Jian stood out. Yun Huang stood out. Liang Yu stood out. Everyone took a step forward. Chapter 8, Genuine First Release, Sigh. You guys haven't grown up yet. Night Sorrow smiled bitterly. We are still the same as before. Furthermore, we can rest assured that as long as one of our brothers is still alive, the family members of our god-slaying squad will be safe and we will be able to live a good life, Lei Bao said with a smile. That's right. As long as one of us is alive, our families will be safe. This is the promise between us brothers and sisters. Night Sorrow nodded. In the 9-domain world, there was a city called Loyalty City. The city wasn't big and wasn't bustling. However, it was exceptionally peaceful. The people who lived here were the families of the god-slaying team. Loyalty City was built by Long Jin, Liang Yu, Lei Bao, and the others. Liang Yu, the most stable person, was the city lord. They didn't tell Night Sorrow, but Night Sorrow knew. He went to help set up a defensive formation. Brothers of the First Army, you guys haven't been with me for long. But I treat you guys the same as I treat them, Night Sorrow said to the soldiers of the First Army. Thank you, young city lord. The soldiers of the First Army bowed to Night Sorrow. After making things clear, Night Sorrow brought his people to the entrance of the ancient domain world. When Night Sorrow arrived, many people were already there. This was because everyone knew that this was a major event for the celestial realm. It was a foreign war. The Grand Elder came along with some elders. The Grand Elder crushed a soul crystal. Then, Tran Heng's soul incarnation appeared in front of everyone. Greetings, City Lord. Night Sorrow cupped his hands in greeting to Tran Heng. Chapter 22:55. both King Yewu and Tran Hung were afraid of the ancient world group. This was also why King Yewu had sent a message to Tran Hung and asked him to send his soul incarnation over. Okay. If it's not safe, I'll bring everyone back, Night Sorrow said. If the ancient world tree can exist, it means that it's deep and unpredictable. Be careful. If you can't handle it, retreat. Who would have thought that it's not so easy to behave atrociously in the celestial realm? Tran Hung reminded him again. Then, his soul incarnation dispersed. The Grand Elder took out a map that Tran Hung had asked him to bring. This is the map that Tran Hung asked me to bring. It contains some of his experience in exploring the ancient world group. Some of the situations are also recorded. Night Sorrow opened the map and looked at it. Then, he slapped his head. There were hundreds of ancient worlds depicted on the map. Looking at the map, Night Sorrow knew that he had underestimated the situation. Don't feel pressured. Just take it as an experience. Take it as an adventure, King Yewu said. Under normal circumstances, King Yewu would be worried. However, when he saw the heavenly concubine in a white dress standing behind Night Sorrow, he felt more at ease. He also saw the heavenly concubine's realm. She was in the same realm as him. She was in the divine soul-uniting realm of the tribulation of the 9 emperors. She was in the strongest realm under the God-destroying tribulation. Then, Night Sorrow led his men into the entrance of the ancient world group. Captain, I'll lead a team forward. Shall we coordinate with you? Long Jean asked. No. This time, we won't split up. That's too dangerous. This ancient world group is different from the previous battles. In the past, we pursued the enemy's strength and efficiency. This time, we'll focus on exploring and understanding. Night Sorrow shook his head. He didn't agree with Long Jin's suggestion. Long Jin nodded. Indeed, this time is different from the previous ones. Night Sorrow led the team forward. When they encountered cultivators who took the initiative to attack or had hostile intent, they would kill them directly. The members of the God-slaying team with a lower cultivation base would attack while the Blood Qilin King and Heavenly Astral King who were slightly stronger would attack. Did you want to fight but never had the chance? Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow who was rubbing his fingers and smiled. Everyone is too crazy. I don't even have the chance to make a move. Night Sorrow smiled bitterly. Battles broke out from time to time, mainly because the ancient world's cultivators had a strong desire to attack Night Sorrow and the others. They don't really fight with each other. Why would they kill us the moment they see us? Lin Piaomiao asked in confusion. It's very simple. Our souls are fundamentally different from theirs. Our souls are from the Supreme World and the future Supreme World. We have the aura of origin energy and the characteristics of life origin energy. This is extremely tempting to them. Refining our divine pearls will be of great help to them, said the heavenly concubine. I see. They see us as materials. Then we can only kill them. We can't let them enter the celestial realm. Hearing the heavenly concubine's explanation, Lin Piaomiao's expression changed. Fundamentally speaking, the ancient world's cultivators are more terrifying than the Demon Wing clan. The Demon Wing clan is fighting with us for the right to rule the celestial realm. It's for the space to live. If the ancient world's cultivators appear, it will be followed by a massacre, Night Sorrow said. The heavenly concubine nodded. She agreed with Night Sorrow's point of view. She was once the divine ancestor of the Demon Wing clan. Naturally, she knew that the Demon Wing clan occupied the celestial realm and ruled it. If the cultivators of the 100 races in the celestial realm submitted to them, they wouldn't kill them. However, the ancient world's cultivators were different. They treated other cultivators as materials. Essence blood, nascent soul pearls, and nascent soul pearls were all materials that they wanted. Don't care about that. If the foreign races are plotting against the celestial realm, we will kill them, said the heavenly astral king. What we lack is strength, said Night Sorrow. With Night Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine in the team, there wasn't much pressure on them during the journey of battle and training. After a few battles, Night Sorrow had a measure of his own strength. When his original body fought alone, it was slightly stronger than the tribulation of the 8 emperors. However, it was weaker than the tribulation of the 9 emperors. He would be suppressed by the tribulation of the 9 emperors, but he could protect himself. #6 When his original body and avatar fought, they were comparable to the tribulation of the 9 emperors. However, they couldn't suppress them. Night Sorrow's combat power shocked the Heavenly Concubine. The Blood Kirin King and the others also understood that among the 100 races in the celestial realm, other than the 3 giants, Night Sorrow was the strongest. However, this was only the current situation. After entering the group of ancient worlds for a year, Night Sorrow's cultivation had truly stabilized. He had killed many of the tribulation of the 8 emperors. He and the Heavenly Concubine had killed 5 of the tribulation of the 9 emperors. He and the Heavenly Concubine had killed 2 of the Divine Soul Unity Realm experts. However, the price they paid was relatively high. At this moment, Night Sorrow was injured. In order to block the danger for the God-slaying team, he took 2 attacks from the opponent. His body was penetrated by the opponent's sword. A full-power sword attack from a Divine Soul Unity Realm expert wasn't simple. It injured Night Sorrow's meridians. Night Sorrow's original body was injured. The situation at that time didn't allow him to think too much. If the Divine Soul Unity Realm expert killed his way into the God-slaying team and the First Army, then the problem would be serious. There would be a lot of casualties. Looking at the wound on his chest that couldn't be healed due to the corrosion of energy, Night Sorrow released the Clear Sky Pagoda. His original body entered and started to heal while his avatar stood guard outside. The attack power of a Divine Soul Unity Realm expert is too strong. If we take it head-on, we'll be in trouble. Night Sorrow's avatar said. He knew that there was still a big gap between him and a top-notch expert. It was still possible for him to fight skillfully, but if he were to fight head-on, he wouldn't be able to withstand it. It was a fact that his realm was low and his true chi cultivation was inferior to the opponent. Brother Shur-san, it's our fault that you got injured. Qin Jin said apologetically. Just now, when they were watching the battle, they were too excited and got too close to the front. As a result, the opponent attacked them. It's not a bad thing. It also made me understand myself. If I'm injured, I'll just heal myself. It's not a big deal. Night Sorrow patted Qin Jin's shoulder and said. Qin Jin nodded. He knew that Night Sorrow was comforting them. Because Night Sorrow was injured, the team stopped moving. Night Sorrow was the main force of the team. It was important for him to maintain his combat strength at peak condition. The team stopped moving and everyone cultivated to stabilize their cultivation. Night Sorrow wasn't the only one who used actual combat to stabilize his cultivation. The others did the same. A bunch of crazy brats. They're just like their captain. However, this is indeed the fastest way to improve. Blood Kirin King said. Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow's back as he investigated the situation. Some thoughts appeared in her mind. She knew that the process of injury and recovery was the process of accumulating one's foundation. When one's foundation was enough, the bottleneck of the everlasting attribute would loosen, and the chances of breaking through would be much higher. Inside the Clear Sky Pagoda, Night Sorrow was using the everlasting body tempering art. He was constantly breaking off parts of his body to repair the damage to his main body. At the same time, he was also cultivating. Chapter 2256. The limitless body tempering art was a supreme art for recovering injuries. The body's limbs and main torso came from the same source. It was the most suitable way to replenish other parts of the body. However, the regeneration of broken limbs required a lot of resources. It wasn't something an ordinary person could afford. Luckily, Night Sorrow had accumulated a lot of resources and could afford it. In the real world, 3 days had passed. Night Sorrow had spent half a year in the accelerated healing process before his injuries were completely healed. Half a year wasn't a short time. However, it wasn't easy for Night Sorrow to recover from injuries of that level. It was normal for experts to take decades or even centuries to recover from injuries. Young City Lord, are you okay? Don't leave any old injuries. It's not good for your cultivation. Blood Lin King looked at Night Sorrow, who had merged with his avatar. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Blood Lin King. Thank you for your concern. I'm fine. I've fully recovered. That's good. That's amazing. It's only been 3 days. Blood Lin King nodded at Night Sorrow. He was really impressed by Night Sorrow. He had seen with his own eyes the extent of Yi Shang's injuries. I cultivate my body, so I have a bigger advantage in this aspect. However, the ancient world's cultivators are really strong. Their forces are scattered all over the ancient world. They haven't found the entrance to the celestial realm. If they attack together, the celestial realm won't be able to stop them. Night Sorrow said. He was a little afraid. The ancient world's cultivators had been through countless years. Plus, they had a long cultivation heritage. Therefore, they were very strong. Yes, they have a lot of experts. However, they don't have a unified command. If they really work together and find the entrance to the celestial realm, it'll be a big problem. Astral King had the same worry as Night Sorrow. That's right. Therefore, we have to make a new plan. My idea is to use the connection between the ancient world and the celestial realm as the center. We have to clean up all sides and try our best to prevent that tunnel from being discovered. Night Sorrow said. Yes, protecting the celestial realm is our goal, and protecting the spatial tunnel is the most effective way, Lin Piaomiao said. Sister Xianer, deploy the Heaven Wasteland Army and send other soldiers to Reincarnation Island. Gather the Heaven Wasteland Army of the 3rd Unified Heaven Wasteland Army and have them prepare for battle at the spatial passageway. If they have doppelgangers, scatter them near the spatial passageway. If other cultivators approach, report it immediately. Sister Xian, your clone will be stationed at the entrance of the spatial passageway. If anything happens, inform me immediately. Night Sorrow said to Lin Piaomiao. Lin Piaomiao nodded and went to make arrangements. Reincarnation Island's defense wasn't that important. Reincarnation Island had been reborn for a long time, and the Nirvana Tide and Extinguishing Storm had returned to normal. The possibility of cultivators flying over was extremely low. After the arrangements were made, Night Sorrow led his men and started to move. They didn't go deeper, but instead started to explore in an arc. He wanted to clear a space that protected the celestial realm's spatial passageway. The battle was still ongoing, but Night Sorrow didn't have many opportunities to act. Cultivators above the 8 Emperors' tribulation wouldn't appear as they wished. Although there was no battle, Night Sorrow still had some insights in his mind. However, improvement needed to be done step by step, and it wasn't easy to achieve. Heavenly Concubine, this is the cultivation technique for the leakless body. Take it and cultivate. After cultivating it, if your cultivation and battle strength are the same as your opponent, your body's energy consumption will be lower, and you will have the upper hand in terms of energy consumption. Night Sorrow wrote a leakless body cultivation technique and handed it to the Heavenly Concubine. I've been coveting your leakless body for a long time and didn't know how to ask. Now, I finally got it. The Heavenly Concubine said with a smile. What do you need? Just tell me. You still have to hide things in your heart. How boring. Night Sorrow shook his head and said. I can't bring myself to do this. Oh right, you're suitable to cultivate the 1,000 Realms defensive body, but Can you ask Tree Sovereign for it? If she doesn't give it to you, I'll give it to you. The Heavenly Concubine thought for a moment and said. I won't make things difficult for you. Night Sorrow shook his head and went into the tent. /original VB version Y29 shots, my life belongs to the 9 regions world. I don't care about favors. The heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow's figure and muttered. You can't think like that. Night Sorrow treats you as a friend. You're the protector of the 9 regions world. Everyone hopes that you can live happily. Lin Piao Miao said. I know. I know that your Yi family is kind and generous. I was just joking with myself. Don't take it seriously. The heavenly concubine said. Lin Piao Miao nodded. She realized that the heavenly concubine's mentality was really good. She had such a huge setback, but it didn't affect her state of mind. Instead, she improved by leaps and bounds and cultivated to the soul unity realm. Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea. He drank it while thinking. He felt that things were troublesome. The cultivators of the ancient world group were too strong. They were much stronger than the cultivators of the celestial realm. After all, their foundation was different. Their cultivation heritage was too long and they lacked resources. However, they could still cultivate by plundering. What are you thinking about? Blood Lin King entered the tent. The cultivators of the ancient world group are too big of a threat to the celestial realm. When they see us, it's like they've seen prey. They're completely crazy. If we let them enter the celestial realm, it'll be a disaster. Night Sorrow expressed his worries. That's right. They're a huge threat. We can't let them enter the celestial realm. Blood Lin King nodded. He wasn't confident either. That was why he came to Night Sorrow's tent. We don't have a good plan now. We can only hide the entrance first. Then, we can slowly eliminate the threat of the ancient world group. Night Sorrow thought for a while and said. That's the only way. But in fact, the ancient world group is too big. In this 1 year, how many ancient worlds have we discovered outside the map? It's a huge portion. Blood Lin King said. The ancient world group isn't formed by the destruction of a single sovereign world. It should be an area formed by the destruction of multiple sovereign worlds. Their inheritances are also different. It won't be easy to deal with them. Yi Shang shook his head. Blood Lin King didn't say anything. He knew that Night Sorrow had thought of the same problem. Let's fight. Let's focus on the ancient world group. As for the Demon Wing clan, they're not strong enough. They're not a big threat. Of course, with the Demon Imperial City, we won't be able to eliminate them no matter how hard we try. Night Sorrow said. It's okay if the Demon Wing clan stays put. If they jump around, won't it be troublesome? Blood Lin King smiled bitterly. He was worried. Chapter 2257. Ha! That's right. If there's a fight, let's fight. Who can say they can take the celestial realm? We can't take down the Demon Imperial City, but the Demon Wings clan can't take over the celestial realm either. Blood Kirin King's mind suddenly became clear. Blood Kirin King left. Night Sorrow sighed. If the celestial realm was ignited, it would be a terrible situation. While Night Sorrow was thinking, the heavenly concubine came to the tent. Night Sorrow got up and asked the heavenly concubine to sit down. Then, he poured a cup of tea for her. I heard what you said just now, but there are some things I need to tell you. If this is only a crisis in the celestial realm, I won't tell you because it's a threat to the 9 regions world. The heavenly concubine sat down and said. Night Sorrow was stunned. He didn't know what could threaten the 9 regions world because he thought the 9 regions world was very safe. Then, the heavenly concubine told him about the Demon Wings clan's ancestor. The ancestor of the Demon Wings clan fought against the human sovereign in the last reincarnation. Actually, he wasn't defeated by the human sovereign. He was attacked by the god-destroying tribulation. In the end, his spirit sea was destroyed by both the human sovereign and the god-destroying tribulation. However, he didn't die completely. His body was taken back to the Demon Imperial City by the other experts of the Demon Wings clan. His spirit sea was empty, but his soul imprint was still in the reincarnation heavenly halberd. The reincarnation heavenly halberd was in the reincarnation space at the bottom of the Nirvana ocean. The ancestor's soul couldn't return. Last time, when the heavenly concubine took his hair to the reincarnation island, his soul imprint in the reincarnation heavenly halberd went back to the demon imperial city. You're telling me this? Can the ancestor of the Demon Wings clan come back to life? Knight Zoro's face changed. This was too serious. It's possible. If he comes back to life, the consequences will be severe. His realm is higher than the soul unification realm. He should be a half-step divine emperor. The heavenly concubine said. Yi Shang slapped his forehead. When it rains, it pours. This news was really bad for him. It was like a bolt from the blue. Closing his eyes, Knight Zoro was thinking. The situation was too bad. Nobody knew how powerful a half-step divine emperor was, or what kind of special abilities they had. Knight Zoro, I don't know how to solve this problem. I don't care about the celestial realm, but I'm worried about the Nine Regions world. The Demon Wings clan's main target is the new sovereign world, which is the Nine Regions world. If the ancestor of the Demon Wings clan awakens, the Nine Regions world will be in danger. Of course, cultivators who are stronger than you won't be able to enter the Nine Regions world, but nobody knows what a half-step divine emperor is capable of. His body has been circulating for many years, and there's no trace of death chi, said the heavenly concubine. I will do my best. Knight Zoro sighed. The heavenly concubine didn't say anything else. She knew that Knight Zoro knew what to do. He wouldn't be caught off guard in the future. She didn't tell anyone. Knight Zoro's attitude was the same as before. If he had to fight, he would fight. He didn't want to cause panic because it was meaningless to tell others. The Demon Imperial City couldn't be broken. If the ancestor of the Demon Wings clan wanted to awaken, nobody would be able to stop him. #forever #free reading novels. After fighting for another half a year, Knight Zoro's clone commanded the battle. His real body entered the Hao Tian Pagoda to cultivate. He wanted to improve himself through the battles. He wanted to break through the bottleneck as soon as possible. Any bottleneck would do. It would be a great leap in strength. Knight Zoro's real body didn't fight. The heavenly concubine, Blood Lin King, and Astral King knew that he was cultivating hard. Bottleneck, damn bottleneck. Heavenly Astral King watched as Knight Zoro's doppelganger battled with the tribulation of 9 Emperor's cultivators and was injured again. He kicked a huge boulder into smithereens. He had been stuck at a bottleneck for a long time, but he couldn't break through. Calm down and settle down. Maybe you will be able to break through. Blood Lin King looked at Knight Zoro and said to Astral King. He was the same as Astral King. They were both stuck at the bottleneck and hadn't made any progress for many years. Astral King let out a breath. He knew what Blood Lin King said was reasonable. He just felt a little depressed. The younger generation was fighting in front of him, and he could only watch. He felt very uncomfortable. His real body was in seclusion, and his clone was injured. Knight Zoro ordered the camp to be set up. He wanted to heal and recover. Others didn't know why Knight Zoro was fighting so hard. He would rather have his clone get injured than fight. The only one who knew was the heavenly concubine. She knew that Knight Zoro was under a lot of pressure because of her words and the existence of the Demon Wings clan's ancestor. In just a few days, Knight Zoro's clone came out of seclusion. Everyone noticed that Knight Zoro's aura had changed a little. It was steady and deep, and it also contained boundless battle intent and killing intent. His robe fluttered without wind. It wasn't energy, but it was caused by his aura and aura. Waving his arm, Knight Zoro ordered the troops to set off again. The battle still had to continue. After setting up camp again, Heavenly Concubine came to Knight Zoro's tent. Knight Zoro, I regret telling you those things and giving you pressure. Some things have to be faced sooner or later. If I know in advance, I can be mentally prepared. Also, I am very grateful to you. Night Sorrow shook his head at Heavenly Concubine. Night Sorrow knew that Heavenly Concubine was in a difficult position. She didn't want to harm the Demon Wings clan, but she also wanted to protect the Nine Regions world. It was a difficult choice, but Heavenly Concubine still chose to stand on the Nine Regions world side. There's no need to be so polite between us. I know who you are, and I hope that you know who I am as well. Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow smiled. I know who you are. Also, it's enough that I know you're my friend. In one sentence, I'll make everything clear. Living in the Nine Regions world might be the best choice in my life. Don't worry. No matter who it is, they won't be able to harm the Nine Regions world. Heavenly Concubine said. Night Sorrow took out 2 jars of wine and gave one to Heavenly Concubine. He sighed and said, the world is full of changes. I don't quite understand what you're saying. Heavenly Concubine took a sip of wine and asked Night Sorrow. Have you heard of the saying that if I'm the best commander, then the best strategist is Jun Xuanji? Night Sorrow said. I've heard of it. Is it because of me that Jun Xuanji isn't willing to help you anymore? Heavenly Concubine asked in surprise. Night Sorrow shook his head and said that there was a rift between him and Jun Xuanji. It would be difficult for them to return to how they were before. Heavenly Concubine didn't quite understand. She knew Night Sorrow's character. Night Sorrow wouldn't give up on anyone by his side for no reason. However, she had never heard of Jun Xuanji's misdeeds. There are some things that you don't need to know, but I can tell you that I, Night Sorrow, am an indomitable spirit. I do things with a clear conscience. However, she's not here, but you are. The world is full of changes, and I know your abilities and talent. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 2258. If you're talented, you must have a place to display it. Right now, you're in a dormant state because I'm not strong enough. I need you to stand behind me. It won't be like this in the future. Night Sorrow said. Then what will it be like in the future? Heavenly Concubine raised her head and looked at Night Sorrow. She followed Night Sorrow's words and asked. She also wanted to know what the future would be like. In the future. Let me think. Of course, you'll be all-powerful and dominate the world. In the past, you were very glorious in the Demon Wing clan. However, there was one thing that couldn't be denied. You were suppressed by the 100 races of the celestial realm. You couldn't fight whenever you wanted to. However, Heavenly Concubine of the Nine Regions world won't have that. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said. What you said is very exciting. It's very difficult to live without being suppressed. Heavenly Concubine smiled. It's not difficult. Whoever suppresses us and makes us suppress them, will kick them to death. Night Sorrow didn't hesitate this time and directly expressed his opinion. Others might say that it's bragging, but if you say it's not, then we'll wait for that day. Heavenly Concubine nodded at Night Sorrow. As a cultivator, everyone wanted to do as they pleased. However, it was very difficult to truly do as they pleased. In the world of cultivators, experts were everywhere. If one didn't have any scruples, it was very easy to cause trouble. In the worst case, one would be killed or even die. However, Night Sorrow didn't exist. Firstly, Night Sorrow had a very high reputation in the celestial realm. Secondly, he was the virtuous human emperor. Going against the human emperor? A cultivator who did not have a problem with their mental state would not do such a thing. Another thing was strength. Now that Night Sorrow's original body and avatar were fighting, the tribulation of 9 emperors cultivators couldn't suppress them. When Night Sorrow entered the tribulation of 7 emperors, he would be similar to the divine soul unity realm. Even if he wasn't as strong, he would still have the ability to protect himself. Who would be able to suppress Night Sorrow? Night Sorrow was the realm master of the 9 regions world and Heavenly Concubine was the heavenly concubine of the 9 regions world. Their honor and disgrace were one. Yong Jio, I'll have to trouble you for the time being. But if you have any thoughts or opinions, you can tell me. I trust you, Night Sorrow said. Alright, your face is big. No one will object to what you approve. Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said. If Night Sorrow believed her, then no one would doubt her. She had known this for a long time. Is it okay for you to chat like this? You make it sound as if I rely on my face to make a living and travel the world. Yishang helplessly smiled after hearing this. Why not? Having a big face was a skill. Without ability and prestige, how could he have any face? Face is an evaluation of one's overall ability. Having a big face is a display of one's status and strength. With just a sentence, you can solve problems without fighting. That's the realm. Heavenly Concubine corrected Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow smiled because what the Heavenly Concubine said made sense. Lord Heavenly Concubine is right. Relying on your face to make a living is the highest realm. Blood Lin King entered Night Sorrow's tent. Blood Lin King is here. Sit. Night Sorrow stood up and cupped his hands. Heavenly Concubine also stood up and cupped her hands with Blood Lin King before sitting down. I'm here to tell young City Lord that there's no need to worry about the spatial tunnel. The Chilan race, the Ice Phoenix race, and the elites of the Humanitarian League have all arrived. We didn't mobilize the people of Sky Desolate City, so there's no need to worry. Blood Lin King said. Alright. Although the ancient world group's cultivators might not discover the spatial tunnel, we have to be prepared. Also, we can't hide this from the Demon Wing race. Mo Zhantian and Mo Yutian should know. However, it's hard to say if they'll dare to attack Sky Desolate City. With Tran Hung holding the fort, it's useless even if they come. Their subordinates will be suppressed by the elders and Sky Desolate City's army. Night Sorrow said. He felt that the current arrangement was safe. If the ancestor of the Demon Wing race woke up, it would be a different matter. With the spatial tunnel stabilized, we have nothing to worry about. We can focus on dealing with things here. Blood Lin King explained the situation to Night Sorrow and left. Heavenly Concubine, there are some people in the celestial realm who know about your situation. However, no one looks down on you. My uncle and Tran Hung are very friendly. Night Sorrow looked at Heavenly Concubine and said. It's still the same as before. Their attitude is only good because of your face. As for looking down on me, they won't. I respect and admire Tran Hung and King Yawu. They don't respect and admire me, but at least they won't look down on me. Heavenly Concubine nodded. Experts respected each other. To be able to cultivate to soul unity, they had gone through a lot of hardships. They all needed respect. This was also respect for themselves. Heavenly Concubine chatted with Night Sorrow for a while. Then, she left Night Sorrow's tent. After resting for a night, the team moved forward again. Night Sorrow used the spatial tunnel as the center. He wanted to clear out an empty space. This way, he could do his best to prevent the spatial tunnel from being discovered. The battle was still going on. However, without a high-level Tribulation Emperor, Night Sorrow wouldn't do anything. This was also requested by Heavenly Astral King and Blood Lin King. They were Tribulation 5 Emperors. They also needed to fight under pressure. During the battle, the members of the God-slaying team and the First Army fought very hard. After the battle, Heavenly Concubine would give some pointers to the members of the God-slaying team. It wasn't like this at first. After Heavenly Concubine gave Yi Shaluo a few pointers, the members of the God-slaying team would ask some questions. Heavenly Concubine wasn't stingy with the members of the 9-domain world. She would explain the problems she discovered. She was Soul Unity Realm. She had lived for a long time. She was experienced and had sharp eyes. Therefore, she could see everyone's strengths and weaknesses. She could give specific pointers. Slowly, it became a habit. After the battle, the members of the God-slaying team would ask Heavenly Concubine for pointers and comments. Night Sorrow knew that this was a good thing. It was the beginning of Heavenly Concubine's true integration into the nine-domain world. The members of the god-slaying team were the core of the nine-domain world. They were also a group of top cultivators. Just by giving pointers, the interaction between the two sides would be very harmonious. In this situation, the members of the first army weren't happy. They also came to find Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was a bit conflicted. However, he couldn't say this to Heavenly Concubine. He knew that Heavenly Concubine's attitude towards the members of the celestial realm was different from the members of the nine-domain world. As if she knew Night Sorrow's difficulties, Heavenly Concubine didn't say anything to Night Sorrow. Heavenly Concubine would also tell a bit about the first army's situation. However, there was still special treatment. Heavenly Concubine didn't hesitate to teach some battle techniques to the members of the god-slaying team. However, she only gave pointers to the members of the first army. This situation made Night Sorrow realize that it wasn't easy. Blood Lin King and Heavenly Astral King expressed their gratitude to Heavenly Concubine. The members of the first army didn't know about this, but the two of them did. They knew that this situation was already very rare. Chapter 2259. How? My original body and doppelganger are both here. My nine-domain doppelganger cannot leave the nine-domain world. Ask the young world tree. She is still in a daze. She doesn't know anything. Night Sorrow said with a smile. That's true. Are you in a hurry? Heavenly Concubine asked Night Sorrow. No hurry. I can cultivate a lot of things now. I haven't reached the point where I can't improve. Don't make things difficult for yourself. Everything is fine now, Night Sorrow said to Heavenly Concubine. Heavenly Concubine nodded. She noticed that Night Sorrow's body was constantly improving. She knew that Night Sorrow's original body was constantly improving. Ever since Heavenly Concubine told Night Sorrow about the Demon Wing clan's ancestor, Night Sorrow had been using his doppelganger to lead the team. His original body stayed in the space with the soul-nurturing grass. While strengthening his soul, he continued to cultivate the limitless body tempering art. His body's cultivation had been steadily improving. As his original body improved, his doppelganger naturally improved as well. In addition, Night Sorrow's defensive technique, Space-Time Realm, had also improved. In the past, when Night Sorrow used Space-Time Realm, he used space-time energy to protect his body. Now, he used primordial energy to protect his body. His defense was much stronger than before. Moreover, it was much smoother when he used it. This was the result of the nine-domain doppelganger's closed-door cultivation. Different techniques required different types of energy to be used. Space-type techniques were most compatible with space-time energy. Using other types of energy was great, but it was easy to not be compatible. If it wasn't compatible, it couldn't be used at all. The increase in space-time realm's power allowed Night Sorrow to have more defensive methods. Night Sorrow and his subordinates used close to 3 years to clear a large area near the entrance of the celestial realm and the ancient world. Using 3 years to clear out an area that was absolutely safe, Night Sorrow was quite satisfied. Knowing that his subordinates were working hard, Night Sorrow brought them out of the ancient world group and to the outer area of the spatial tunnel. You have half a year to rest and recuperate. Gather here after half a year, Night Sorrow ordered. As an experienced cultivator, Night Sorrow knew that one had to have a balance between tension and relaxation when cultivating. Being tense all the time would allow one to improve quickly, but it would be detrimental to one's state of mind. He dismissed the troops and asked Lin Piaomiao to bring the Heavenly Concubine, his wives, and Yi Xiaoluo to the Night Moon Villa to rest. He communicated with King Yewu about the current situation. Your method can guarantee that there will be no war in the celestial realm for a short period of time, but that is not necessarily the case. This is an era of gods and demons. Some things that should and should not happen will happen. This is the end of the era, King Yewu said. After pondering for a while, Night Sorrow set up a barrier and told him about the information the Heavenly Concubine told him about the Demon Wing clan's progenitor. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, King Yewu was silent. After a while, he looked at Night Sorrow. The possibility is very high. According to the heavenly concubine's level and personality, if the probability was low, she would not have told you at all. It would not have affected your state of mind. Since she has told you, then the danger is very big. I will inform Tran Hung later. Don't let others know. Not only will it be useless, but it will also cause panic. I understand. Currently, only I and Uncle Master know. Night Sorrow nodded. Yes, you have already arranged some things very well. Seeing you grow up, Uncle Master is very pleased. This is nothing. If that guy comes, Uncle Master and Tran Hung will take care of him. Uncle Master may not be able to, but Tran Hung should be able to do it with the help of Tianhuang City, King Yewu said. Night Sorrow nodded. Then I will go home and take a look. Go. Go home and take a look. You don't know how many people are jealous of you, King Yewu said with a smile. Going home to take a look was an extravagant hope for many cultivators. Without family, home was no longer home. Cultivators were lonely. There were almost no cultivators like Night Sorrow in the celestial realm. In Night Moon Villa, there were some members of the god-slaying team. Both Sandalwood and Yi were there. Sandalwood was a member of the god-slaying team, and Yi often spent time with Night Sorrow's wife. Let's go and pay a visit to Master, Night Sorrow said to Sandalwood. 8. Oh Zheng, First Edition CS, ha. I have been waiting for you here, Sandalwood said with a smile. In Night Moon City, Night Sorrow and Sandalwood paid a visit to Master Qing Emperor and Master's wife Misty Rain. I am very happy that the two of you have achieved great things. I have lived for a long time, but the past 1,000 years have been the happiest and most worrying days. I am happy that Master's wife has returned. Sandalwood, I am happy that you have recovered and achieved great things. Night Sorrow, I am even happier that you have achieved great things. It is just that I have been very worried for the past 700 years. I am sorry for making you worry, Master. Night Sorrow stood up and cupped his hands towards Qing Emperor. Sit down. You have not done anyone wrong. Do not say such things in the future, Misty Rain said. I will remember Master's wife's words. Night Sorrow nodded towards Misty Rain. A disciple is half a son. You and Sandalwood are both great. You are much better than the other children of your master and I, Sandalwood, Master's wife was biased against you in the past. Please do not take it to heart. Misty Rain looked at Sandalwood and Night Sorrow. Master's wife is too serious. I have never thought of it that way. Sandalwood stood up and bowed towards Qing Emperor and Misty Rain. You too. We all know Sandalwood's character. No one will care about those things. Do not mention it in the future. Qing Emperor looked at his wife and said. All right. Night Sorrow, Master's wife wanted you to be her son-in-law. However, you are not fated to be with Qing Yuan. There is no other way. Misty Rain changed the topic. Master's wife is right. It depends on fate. By the way, how is senior brother? Was he affected by that incident? Night Sorrow asked about Qing Lin. Mo Xiaolan had plotted against him. Night Sorrow was worried that Qing Lin would be hurt. A little. Fortunately, it was not serious. He knew that Mo Xiaolan was scheming and using him from the beginning. She was not worthy of his love. Give him some time and he will get over it. Qing Emperor said. After chatting for a while, they agreed to have dinner together. Night Sorrow went to the back of Xingyue City because the World Tree was there. At this time, the entire Xingyue Island was covered by the World Tree. The tree crown extended in all directions and covered the sky above Xingyue Lake. When Night Sorrow arrived, the tree spirit appeared. Are there any drawbacks to settling down here? Do you need me to solve anything? Night Sorrow looked at the tree spirit and asked. There is no need. The environment here is much better than the original world. My roots can reach into the ground and enter the void. I can absorb a lot of energy. I can even extend my original lifespan. The damage caused by moving will also slowly disappear. Tree Spirit said. Chapter 2260. Cultivators below the high-level Emperor Tribulation shouldn't be able to harm the main body. As for those above the high-level Emperor Tribulation, the main body wouldn't be able to withstand it. Because I don't want to cause a calamity or start a war that shouldn't happen, I didn't touch the Thousand Realms whirling defense when I left. Instead, I sent them into the vast void to fend for themselves, the Tree Spirit said. Night Sorrow nodded. He understood that the Tree Spirit didn't bring its Thousand Realms whirling defense with it. There were both pros and cons. If the Tree Spirit brought its Thousand Realms whirling defense with it, it would cause great damage to the original Thousand Realms whirling defense. If the Thousand Realms whirling defense entered the Celestial Realm, it would cause a huge impact to the Celestial Realm. It would cause a chain reaction. The disadvantage of not bringing the Thousand Realms whirling defense was that the World Tree's defense would be weakened. How long do you think it will take for the Tree Spirit's defense to form? How do I cooperate? Night Sorrow asked. The Thousand Realms whirling defense is impossible. The main body will set up a Sumeru world near the main body and pay close attention to the situation inside. If a high-level life form invades, the main body will notify you to clean it up. If this branch lights up and vibrates with energy, you can come over, the Tree Spirit said as a branch appeared in its hand. Okay. By the way, does Senior not have a companion guardian? Night Sorrow asked. Yes, when the main body was transcending the tribulation, she turned into energy and entered my body. She interfered with the tribulation lightning. The main body survived, but she died, the Tree Spirit shook its head. After listening to the Tree Spirit's explanation, Night Sorrow understood why he didn't see the World Tree's companion last time. It was because the Tree Spirit's guardian had died. Then, the Tree Spirit told Night Sorrow that the World Tree in the Nine Realms world had to be protected. Because of karma, the Tree of Life would no longer have a companion. Therefore, her safety had to be taken care of. Don't worry, Venerable Tree. She is very safe in the Nine Regions world. She has the World Origin body to take care of her. My battle avatar is also there, said Night Sorrow. The Tree Spirit said, you're very young, and you're the most talented cultivator I've seen in so many years. I'll sort out some of the cultivation inheritances from the Origin realm and give them to you when the time comes. Thank you, Tree. Do you have a Thousand Realms defensive body? Night Sorrow asked with a smile. The Tree Spirit nodded. Of course. Your attributes are indeed suitable for the Thousand Worlds defensive body. Come and get it in 2 days. Thank you, Supreme Tree. Night Sorrow bowed to the Tree Spirit. You don't have to be so polite. You have the potential to become immortal, so you have to work hard. If you can survive that tribulation, you will be able to bring blessings to the Celestial Realm and the Nine Realms. My daughter and I will also be blessed by you, said the Tree Spirit. Night Sorrow nodded. Then, he chatted casually with the Tree Spirit and left. During dinner, the Qing Emperor asked Night Sorrow about the protection of the World Tree. Master, you don't have to worry about this. Just pay attention to the defense of Star Moon City. The World Tree has its own way of protecting itself, Night Sorrow said to the Qing Emperor. The Qing Emperor nodded. Although he couldn't see through it, he knew that the World Tree was of a very high level. Night Sorrow stayed in Star Moon City for a few days. Then, he was summoned by the World Tree and went to the area where the World Tree was located. He even passed through a Sumeru space. However, the Sumeru space wasn't very big. It had just been created. Version 28, why the Tree Spirit appeared and handed Night Sorrow a few pieces of wood. They were all cultivation inheritances. Thank you, Lord Tree Spirit, for what you have done for the Celestial Realm and the Nine Domain world. Night Sorrow bowed to the forest. You're wrong. These are for you. If others want to cultivate it, they have to see if it's suitable for them. Take the Thousand Realms defensive body for example. If you give it to others, they won't be able to learn it. Instead, they will know your trump card, the tree spirit said. Night Sorrow nodded. Inheritances were no small matter. They could raise the cultivation level of a world. Just like the myriad Tao treasured tome, if there were many people who could cultivate it, it would be a sect. Night Sorrow left Star Moon City and returned to the 9-domain world. He passed the inheritances to the 9-domain clones. His original body would know about the inheritances if the 9-domain clones studied them. It was safe to leave them in the 9-domain world. There was no risk of losing them. Even if his original body and battle clones died, the inheritances wouldn't be affected. After arranging the inheritances, Night Sorrow returned to the Night Moon Villa in the Ethereal Dynasty. Then, he thought about the problem. The human heart wasn't what it used to be. He wouldn't give away the inheritances casually. As for establishing a sect, Night Sorrow didn't think about it. He didn't have the energy or ambition to do so. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow decided to put this matter aside for the time being. He would study the Thousand Realms defensive body first. After some research, Night Sorrow found that the Thousand Realms defensive body wasn't something that could be cultivated in a short time. Therefore, he passed it to the 9-domain clones to study. Night Sorrow's original body cultivated while his clones accompanied his family. After cultivating at home for a few days, Night Sorrow went to Tianhuang City and saw Tran Hung in front of the 9-dragon Heaven and Earth Cauldron. After bringing Night Sorrow into the 9-dragon Heaven and Earth Cauldron, Tran Hung poured a cup of tea for Night Sorrow and said, "You did well this time. You managed to buy some time for the celestial realm." Night Sorrow shook his head and said, "Treating the symptoms but not the root cause. It will be a problem after a long time." Tran Hung said, "We can't rush these things. Once the world tree arrives, the celestial realm won't be destroyed. If there's a war, we can deal with it. No matter how strong the ancestor of the Demon Wing clan is, he's still below the God Emperor realm. There's nothing that we can't deal with. If this seat isn't a match for him, then we'll talk about other things." Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that Tran Hung was very strong. As the #1 expert of the Celestial Realm's 100 clans, he had fought in foreign worlds all year round. He had met all kinds of experts, but defeat was proof of strength. After talking for a while, Night Sorrow left. He didn't need to worry about the matters in Tianhuang City. Seeing Night Sorrow enter the teleportation array, Tran Hung nodded. He knew that Night Sorrow could handle some things. He had seen Night Sorrow's progress. After leaving Tianhuang City, Night Sorrow went to the entrance of the Ancient World Group. He took out the Clear Sky Pagoda and went in to cultivate. Cultivating here made him feel at ease. If anything happened, he would be able to know immediately. Seeing Night Sorrow enter seclusion immediately after arriving, King Yewu shook his head. He knew that Night Sorrow was anxious and stressed. However, he didn't know how to persuade him. Time passed slowly. The members of the God-slaying team and the first army slowly returned. They were waiting for the second operation. Night Sorrow didn't come out of seclusion. His original body was cultivating, while his battle clones and 9-domain clones were studying the Thousand Worlds defensive body. If one wanted to beat someone, one had to learn how to take a beating. Only with a strong defense would one have the confidence to fight. Only with a strong defense would one have the qualifications to fight. In the past, Night Sorrow relied on his strong body to fight those of a higher level. Now, he was easily injured because his defense wasn't strong enough. Night Sorrow's 2 clones were studying the Thousand Worlds defensive body to strengthen his defense and increase his confidence in fighting. Chapter 2261. Everyone had arrived. Night Sorrow's battle doppelganger appeared and gave the order to get ready. They would set off in a day. After giving the order, Night Sorrow sat opposite King Yewu. He set up the tea table and made a pot of tea. "Night Sorrow, you're going to battle again." "I don't know what to say," King Yewu said. "Senior uncle, I've already set a goal this time. It's to consolidate the area we've occupied. We have to ensure the safety of the area around the spatial tunnel. We can't be discovered by the ancient world's cultivators, Knight Sorrow explained his plan. Okay, we've also strengthened the arrangement of spies and scouts. As long as there are cultivators from the ancient world group, we'll get the news. Patriarch Lin will inform you when the time comes, said King Yewu. Knight Sorrow led the team and Lin Piaomiao's doppelganger followed. She stayed at the space tunnel and was responsible for communication between the two sides. Then it's settled. Uncle, make arrangements to strengthen the security of the Misty Dynasty. The safety of the World Tree is still important. It's better to be safe than sorry. It's necessary to seal it off, Knight Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Okay. I'll send a part of the fairies' capital army over right away. King Yewu nodded. Fairies' capital was one of the two cities of the celestial realm. It was the most civilized city. Although it was not as good as Tianhuang City in terms of defense, its army was still very strong and could easily crush any force. After everything was arranged, Knight Sorrow led the team into the ancient world group and started the second battle. Knight Sorrow led the team to check the areas that had been cleared before to see if there were any new cultivators entering. During the check, Knight Sorrow met the scouts of the Tianhuang army. The scouts reported the situation to Knight Sorrow. While they were advancing, Knight Sorrow was also perfecting the map. He divided the area near the entrance into 100 regions and then communicated with Lin Piaomiao. Lin Piaomiao's main body wrote the map and then arranged the deployment. Every region had to be defended and there had to be scouts. This workload was relatively large, and it took Yi Shan and his men a year to complete it. In other words, the Heaven Wasteland Army's scouts were stationed in the area where the spatial passageways were located, including the small ancient worlds next to the spatial passageways. After the defensive arrangements were made, Knight Sorrow led his men deeper into the forest and expanded the safe zone. After entering a new area, the number of cultivators in the ancient world group had increased. Naturally, there would be constant battles. The morale of the god-slaying team and the warriors of the first command was high. Even if they encountered opponents with higher cultivation than them, they would still be able to surround and kill them. They had cultivated the combined attack array, so their ability to fight in groups was strong. It was not difficult for them to fight against opponents with higher cultivation levels. Of course, there was a limit to this. When a cultivator whose cultivation was much higher than theirs appeared, Lin Piaomiao, Blood Lin King, and Heavenly Astral King had to fight. Knight Sorrow would sometimes say a few words to summarize the battle. Knight Sorrow's first battle happened a month after they opened up the new map. He encountered an ancient cultivator with Tribulation 9 Emperor's cultivation. This time, the battle was extremely intense because Yi Shang refused to retreat. He continued to fight to the death with his opponent. The two of them fought from the sky to the ground, and then from the ground to the sky. Watching Knight Sorrow's battle, Mo Tianji murmured, "Thousand Realms Defense. It seems that he has cultivated it." Heavenly Concubine discovered that when the ancient cultivator's attack reached Knight Sorrow, part of it would ripple and then disappear. The remaining part would hit Knight Sorrow, and part of it would be offset by the virtuous Virtue Dao body. The remaining part would not be able to do anything to Knight Sorrow. "What's the Thousand Realms Defense?" Lin Piaomiao asked. "It's the defensive technique of the World Tree. Outside the World Tree, there are 1,000 Sumeru spatial worlds. Outside this range, it's impossible to attack the World Tree. There's a hazy energy outside Knight Sorrow's body. That's the embryonic form of space. Although it's not real space, it can block and contain the energy of the opponent's attack," the Heavenly Concubine said. She felt that there was no need to hide it from others. "Then, did you and Auntie Fei get any benefits?" Lin Piaomiao asked with a smile. "The World Tree recognizes Knight Sorrow. However, it said that it's fate that we met her. She gave us each a world origin branch. It should be a material that can be used to forge weapons," Heavenly Concubine said as she took out a branch. There was only one leaf on it, but the leaf was green and filled with origin energy and vitality. "This is also a great harvest," Lin Piaomiao said with a smile. Yes, this is an absolute treasure. It's good for cultivation. Take it. Heavenly Concubine pushed the branch to Lin Piao Miao. No. I don't need it. Lin Piao Miao took a step back and waved her hand. She knew that it wasn't easy to get this branch. Heavenly Concubine and Night Sorrow had risked their lives to get it. All right then. You're Night Sorrow's wife. The world tree has settled down in the 9 regions world. You can go to the Heaven Sealing Palace to cultivate. Let's watch the battle first. Heavenly Concubine didn't force Lin Piao Miao. Night Sorrow and the ancient cultivator continued to fight violently. Neither side could suppress the other. Night Sorrow's defense could block a portion of the attacks, but his chi cultivation was low. Even if his body's strength was lower than the ancient cultivator's, he couldn't deal much damage to the ancient cultivator. A battle of attrition, the ancient cultivator lost. After watching for a while, Heavenly Concubine made a judgment. When both sides couldn't do anything to the other, it was a battle of attrition. In a battle of attrition, Night Sorrow had the leakless true body. Aside from the necessary consumption, he didn't lose any energy. He had an absolute advantage. The battle lasted for an entire day. When the ancient cultivator was exhausted, Night Sorrow's power of virtue exploded. He used the human emperor's seal to suppress the ancient cultivator. Then, he used all his skills to kill the ancient cultivator. However, in the final stage, the ancient cultivator attacked with all his strength. This attack broke through Night Sorrow's protective energy. The embryonic space defense was also broken. There was a hole in the ancient cultivator's chest. Very good. This is a milestone for the young city lord. He killed the ancient cultivator with just a clone. Blood Kirin King was very excited. I still got hit by the ancient cultivator. Night Sorrow touched the blood on his chest and said, if you only wanted to win the battle, you wouldn't be injured. If you weren't anxious, you wouldn't be injured. You were just a little impatient. Heavenly Concubine said. Night Sorrow nodded. He stopped the ancient cultivator from escaping. The ancient cultivator was desperate and used a suicidal attack. That was why he was injured. After that, Night Sorrow entered the Clear Sky Pagoda to heal himself. A 6 Emperor Tribulation cultivator killed a 9 Emperor Tribulation cultivator. Heavenly Astral Monarch still couldn't accept the situation. Yes. From the beginning to the end, Night Sorrow dominated the battle. If the ancient cultivator ran at the beginning, Night Sorrow might not have been able to kill him. However, he wasn't afraid of Night Sorrow in the beginning. Heavenly Concubine said. Chapter 2262. Now that we have a grudge, we have to solve it. If he runs away, this karma will be troublesome in the future, Blood Lin King said. Heavenly Concubine nodded. She knew this, but there was something she didn't say. Night Sorrow fought to the death to force her to improve herself. After getting injured, Night Sorrow entered the Hao Tian Pagoda and used the Wuji body tempering art to heal his body. If a normal mid-level Emperor's Tribulation cultivator was killed by a high-level Emperor's Tribulation cultivator, the consequences would be serious. Their body might be destroyed or their foundation might be damaged. However, Night Sorrow's body was strong. It was not weaker than a 9 Emperor's Tribulation cultivator. So, he was injured. There were no other problems. A few days later, Night Sorrow came out of seclusion. This battle only left him with the essence of understanding. There was nothing else. There was not even a scar. Night Sorrow came out of seclusion and made a pot of tea. He called Heavenly Concubine, Blood Lin King, Heavenly Astral King, and Lin Piao over to discuss the next plan. They wanted to see if there were any good ideas or suggestions. Under the circumstances of ensuring our safety, this is the right way to clean up. But young city lord, we can't fight like this. If something happens, we will lose no matter how great the battle results are, Heavenly Astral King said. He was scared now. He was afraid that something would happen to Night Sorrow. Yes, young city lord, you are the foundation of the celestial realm's 100 races and the 9 regions world. If something happens to you, we will lose no matter how great the battle results are, Blood Lin King said. I understand your worries, but don't worry. My original body hasn't moved because I feel confident. Also, if there is a problem, Heavenly Concubine will help, Night Sorrow said. But you have to be careful. If something unexpected happens, even if I want to save you, it's not too late. Heavenly Concubine shook her head. In fact, when Night Sorrow was injured, she didn't have time to stop it. She didn't expect Night Sorrow to risk his life. Even if Night Sorrow moved away, she wouldn't let that guy escape. I'll be careful. Night Sorrow nodded. The cleanup operation was still in progress. Zhuo Dong was leading the first army, while Long Jin was leading the god-slaying squad. Most of the time, Yishan was thinking. A satisfying battle would be of great help to his cultivation. 2 months later, the Blood Lin King returned. He found a bottleneck to break through and wanted to go back into seclusion to cultivate. However, the Golden Dragon King came to replace him. Young City Master, it's good to follow you. We've all been stuck at a bottleneck for a long time. Blood Lin King came out twice and then went back to break through. The Golden Dragon King was in high spirits. In the Celestial Realm, the 3 leaders had the highest cultivation, followed by the leaders of the mythical beast clans. However, they were all stuck at a bottleneck and couldn't break through. Night Sorrow went to the Blood Lin Mountain once and the Blood Lin King fought with the Black Dragons. After settling down, he broke through. When Night Sorrow was sleeping, he worked hard to reach the next bottleneck and found another opportunity to break through. That's because the Blood Lin King has a strong foundation, Night Sorrow said with a smile. It's related to luck. Those who have a body of merit will have luck. Besides, young City Master, you don't just have a body of merit, Heavenly Astral King said. Ha, then I hope everyone can break through. However, the battle must continue, Night Sorrow said. He didn't ask about the Blood Lin King's situation, but he knew the Blood Lin King wasn't as strong as he was now. Back then, the Blood Lin King's clone was on par with the Black Dragons and Long Zhe. At most, he was a little stronger. Of course, he had to control the formation and save Lin Yu. However, the difference was huge. The team continued to move forward and continued to clear out the practitioners in the Ancient World group. The Golden Dragon King was crazier than the Blood Lin King and Heavenly Astral King. When there was a battle, he pulled his nephew Long Jin and fought fiercely. He didn't care about the danger at all. This gave Night Sorrow a headache. He told the Heavenly Concubine to support him at critical times. The Heavenly Concubine nodded. She knew what Night Sorrow didn't want to see the people around him in trouble. Night Sorrow had sacrificed a lot over the years, but he had achieved the feat of not losing anyone around him. In fact, it wasn't just the Golden Dragon King who fought crazily. The god-slaying team and the First Army were the same. After another battle started, Night Sorrow and the Heavenly Concubine watched from the side. Neither of them made a move. The Heavenly Concubine shook her head and said, "You're full of energy. Not to mention that the combat power of your subordinates exceeds their cultivation level. This aura. Their cultivation is clearly inferior to their opponents, but they chase after them and kill them. It's as if their cultivation has reached a level where they can crush their opponents. Sometimes, if you think you can do it, then you can really do it. If you don't have the courage, what you can do and what you can do, you might not be able to do it," Night Sorrow said. The Heavenly Concubine nodded. She knew this was faith. If one's faith was firm, then there would be motivation to move forward. Poor, really poor. When cleaning up the battlefield, the Golden Dragon King was very dissatisfied. The Ancient World group is lacking in resources. Their high cultivation level is completely dependent on absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to cultivate. There are almost no supplementary resources. Even if there are, they have to be plundered from other worlds, Night Sorrow said. Without resources, they can only rely on absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to cultivate. Plus, the spiritual energy here is not dense. Their achievements are dependent on a large amount of time, the heavenly astral king said. This is also the reason why they are running around everywhere. It's to find worlds to plunder. The thought of growing by plundering is already in their bones, the heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said. While everyone was reorganizing, Night Sorrow stood outside the camp and thought. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow was once again certain that the celestial realm's 100 races and the ancient world group's cultivators could not coexist. There was no possibility of that at all. When the ancient world group's cultivators appeared, they had no intention of plundering. They directly started killing. If their goal was to plunder, then it could be said that it was a problem of quality. However, they came out to kill directly. This was a problem of nature. Night Sorrow communicated his thoughts to the heavenly concubine and Lin Piaomiao. Their thoughts were the same as Night Sorrow's. This is a habit. It's a habit of the past that has fixed their way of life. This is something that cannot be changed. Don't think about it, the heavenly concubine said. I understand too. However, we don't know how many ancient worlds this ancient world group contains. How many supreme worlds were formed after the destruction of the ancient world group? We didn't find out the foundation. Night Sorrow shook his head. Let's take it slow. They have other organizations and other forms of alliances. We won't be in danger and it won't be difficult to clean them up, Lin Piaomiao said. The situation isn't as simple as we think. The cultivators we encountered were all small groups in the form of tribes and small factions. On the other hand, it's not impossible for there to be large sects and cities. Night Sorrow expressed his worries.